Chapter 2:12. That was the late stage of the indomitable realm, coupled with an even more terrifying aura. It was as if the demonic beasts from before were nothing in front of this seven-colored python. What should we do? Mu Jijian stared nervously at the people from Raging Fire Temple who were thrown into the demon cave by the demon emperor python. But now it wasn't just him. Qing in front of him also broke out in a cold sweat. She felt a chill down her spine. Young Master Lin, you won't attack us, right? At this moment, there were no survivors from Raging Fire Temple. Qing Chao Lu and the others broke free from their restraints and came to Lin Yu's side. Brother Lin, this is... Well, Lin Yu didn't know how to explain, so he said casually, a small demonic beast that I got by chance. Small. Qing Chao Lu's face twitched. She stared at the demon emperor python that could swallow her whole. Lin Yu, it won't eat us, right? They had just escaped death. They didn't want to die in the hands of demonic beasts. I'm not sure about that. Lin Yu shrugged and looked around. There's not much time left. It's time to end it. As soon as he said that, the crowd was shocked by Lin Yu again before they could recover from the annihilation of Raging Fire Temple. Especially now, Lin Yu's combat strength could kill Ghost Daoist instantly. But behind him, there was a late-stage, indomitable realm demonic beast that listened to his orders. This demonic beast alone wasn't something they could deal with. Young Master Lin, we're willing to give you all our beast pearls. That's right, Yinran. This time, it's all thanks to young Master Lin. As they spoke, many people from low-level sects took out their beast pearls. Lin Yu's points instantly increased to more than 500 points. He was still in first place. Young Master, you've become the biggest winner this time. Qing gritted her teeth and came forward. She knew that the outcome was set and no longer hesitated. Qing is willing to give her beast pearls to young Master. She took out more than 200 of her beast pearls. Congratulations on becoming the emperor. I have no intention of becoming the emperor, so there's no need for yours. Lin Yu rejected her beast pearls and smiled faintly. But our cooperation has been completed. Qing heard it and was overjoyed. Lin Yu actually gave up the qualification of becoming the emperor? She hurriedly nodded. Young Master promised me to take care of the Raging Fire Temple, and he has done it. What about what you promised me? Qing's heart tightened as she remembered that she and Lin Yu were allies. She bowed and said, Please forgive me, young Master. Lin Yu glanced at her. What crime? This scene fell into the eyes of everyone. This time, they truly saw Lin Yu's strength clearly. First, it was Jiuxing Mountain's fear. Then it was the complete annihilation of the Raging Fire Temple. Emperor, sex emperors. Shen, especially the people brought by Shan Yinran. At first, they only thought that Lin Yu had so many people following him because of Shen Yinran. To put it bluntly, they even felt that Lin Yu was a brother who lived off a woman. But now, not a single person dared to think this way. Qing's fault is that she didn't help in time when young Master's men were kidnapped by the Raging Fire Temple. Oh, Lin Yu was still in the cave at that time, so he didn't know the details. Lin Yu glanced at Cielu. After she finished speaking, Lin Yu looked at Qing with a faint smile. Don't worry, our cooperation doesn't include saving my people. Of course, Jiuxing Shan was very powerful just now, I understand. Qing heaved a sigh of relief after hearing that. She was originally afraid that Lin Yu would settle the score with her. If Lin Yu didn't want the right to be the crown prince. According to the current rankings, she should be number 1 after Lin Yu. As for Tang Xian, she still owed her 100 beast pearls. Qing wasn't worried that Tang Xian would be able to catch up with her in this short period of time. After all, the 9 luminaries' dragon sealing cities, people were either dead or injured. They were no match for her D sect. Young Master is indeed a magnanimous person. Qing was overjoyed. She quickly thanked Lin Yu again. But in the next moment, she saw Lin Yu shove a bunch of beast pearls into Tang Xian's hands. This action was like a thunderclap that struck her heart. It was a loud rumble. At the same time, Lin Yu's ranking dropped. Tang Xian, who was originally number 3, instantly became number 1. Young Master. Tang Xian looked at all of this in a daze. Reward those who have contributed. Lin Yu smiled gently and didn't say anything else. But Tang Xian's eyes were already filled with tears. She naturally understood that her decision to help Lin Yu buy time was the right one. Young Master Lin is worthy of Tang Xian doing this. Tang Xian bowed. But when these words fell into Qing's ears, it was like the biggest punishment. This was because Tang Xian now had more than 700 points. She was already number 1, and no one could surpass her. Reward those who have contributed, Qing muttered to herself. This guy said he wouldn't pursue this matter. She had given the right to be the emperor to Tang Xian. That was the biggest problem. But Qing didn't dare to say anything. Lin Yu's meaning was clear. Tang Xian's action of buying time for Lin Yu was worthy of her title. Young master, if we fight with Dragon Sealing City, will you be neutral? Mu Jujian suddenly asked from behind Qing. Then he cupped his fists and said, I'm sorry. I'm Mu Jujian of Emperor Sect. Qing is my senior sister. Neutral? Of course I'll be neutral. Lin Yu raised an eyebrow. Hearing this, Tang Xian already felt that the situation was bad. If Emperor's Sect attacked her now, she wouldn't be a match at all. Young master is indeed righteous. Mu Jujian smiled happily. Senior sister, the crown prince should be the strongest. Shall we do it? No. Qing smiled awkwardly. The veil on her back was half wet. Junior brother is talking nonsense. Please don't mind him, young Master Lin. Then she stood in front of Mu Jujian, afraid that this kid would really attack. Could Lin Yu's words be trusted? Qing only felt that this junior brother was a little silly. Young master, we'll take our leave. Qing said solemnly. You're not fighting? Lin Yu looked disappointed, but Qing shook her head again and bowed to Tang Xian. Junior sister Tang, Dragon Sealing City has suffered heavy casualties. I won't take advantage of you. Congratulations on becoming the crown prince. Tang Xian was stunned. Qing had the most people and the most power now. If Lin Yu didn't stop her, the title of crown prince would definitely be in Qing's bag. But she gave up just like that. Senior sister, Mu Jujian looked troubled. He didn't understand what Qing was doing. You've waited for so many years. Are you really willing to give up now? Qing had already turned her back to Lin Yu and the others. But when she heard this, her delicate body trembled. How can I be willing? But that guy's words can't be trusted. She subconsciously felt that Lin Yu would still stand by Tang Xian's side at the critical moment. This was the first time she was so unconfident in her charm. If he doesn't choose me, he'll definitely help Tang Xian. He definitely will. Chapter 213. Qing didn't dare to take the risk. If she won, she might become the arch. But if she lost, she would force Lin Yu to choose between her and Tang Xian. She might lose her life and the lives of the Emperor's sect. I can't take the risk. Qing kept counseling herself and walked further and further away. Mu Jujian and the hundreds of people from the Emperor's sect had no choice but to follow her. She's leaving just like that? The fat guy shook his head in surprise. I heard that Qing has always been unscrupulous to achieve her goals. Today, I see that she's quite loyal. They all thought that Qing didn't take action because she didn't want to take advantage of others. Young master, are you really neutral? Shen Yanran said with interest in Lin Yu's ear. I think it's not that Qing doesn't want to take action. She's just afraid of you. I'm not going to take the arch position. Why is she afraid of me? Lin Yu put away the demon emperor python, feeling very innocent. Shen Yanran grinned. You naughty guy. Everyone can see that you're helping Tang Xian. You must have taken a fancy to her again. Tang Xian more or less eavesdropped. She blushed and bowed to Lin Yu again. Young master, you really don't want these? She held a large number of beast pearls in her hands and asked. Our cooperation and these beast pearls are the perfect combination. Lin Yu asked her to put away the beast pearls. At the same time, the fog dissipated. A teleportation force appeared on everyone. It's the teleportation light of Jixiao Library. Qing Xiaolu and the others gradually disappeared. Brother Lin, I'll see you outside. Everyone was sent away one after another. Teleportation light appeared on Tang Xen, Shun Yinran, and Lin Yu too. But in the next moment, Lin Yu waved his right hand with Yin Yang Qi and the teleportation light shattered. Young master, the two girls were shocked. I'll go out by myself later. Lin Yu smiled faintly. You two go first. Then, he stepped into the cave again. Young master, it's very dangerous inside. Shin Yinran immediately shouted. Before her voice could be heard, she and Tang Xin had already disappeared from the demonic beast forest. When it appeared, everyone would be on the island of Jixia Library. When they came out, although there were people from their respective sects to welcome them, the atmosphere was unusually tense. Master, I'm out. Qing had an apologetic expression. I failed to live up to Master's expectations. I wasn't able to win the Emperor's battle. Shushing him, Shun Sui sighed. Just do your best. Now's not the time to talk about this. She glanced at the place where Na, Yi, and Mei were. Qing followed his gaze and suddenly felt a sense of oppression from their backs. So strong. Qing calmed herself down and said in shock, they are not from the outer regions. Shun Sui nodded. It seems that this Emperor's battle is a bit different. She observed the rankings on the leaderboard. Tang Xin snatched Lin Yu's Beast Pearl? No. Qing shook her head, her eyes filled with loneliness. After interacting with Lin Yu, she was no longer as confident in her charm as before. Or rather, it was just that in front of Lin Yu, she was no longer confident. Then why? Shinsui also noticed that something was wrong with Qing. Master, I don't want to say. She turned her face away. That's good. It's good for your future cultivation to suffer a setback. Shinsui sighed softly and did not ask any more questions. But on the other side, Xiao Mo was overjoyed. Good disciple, you really didn't disappoint me. If it weren't for the fact that there was a real big shot present, Xiao Mo would have laughed out loud. But Tang Xin, who had taken first place, was not happy at all. Instead, she looked worried. Young Master Lin. She stood beside the island and looked down, but she could not see the situation in the demon beast forest at all. Did Lin Yu help you? Xiao Mo guessed. Tang Xin nodded and told Xiao Mo everything that happened in detail. The latter sucked in a breath of cold air. A great demon in the late stage of the unyielding realm killed everyone from the Raging Fire Temple and gave you the Beast Pearl in the end. Good child. Xiao Mo looked at Tang Xin seriously. Don't tell anyone else about this. Master, what are you talking about? Tang Xin was puzzled. Lin Yu helped us so much in the matter of killing the Raging Fire Temple. We can't let him die in the hands of that old thief Yin Tian. Tang Xin was overjoyed. Master, you're willing to protect young Master Lin. This is a deal. Lin Yu is a good friend. His new sect is also an ally of Dragon Sealing City. Do you understand? Tang Xin nodded heavily. Master, now that young Master Lin is alone down there must be something scary in the cave. Can you go down and save him? That won't do. Xiao Mo's face twitched, and he said awkwardly, It's not that I don't want to, but you see, the people from the inner area are all here. There's a Law Realm powerhouse guarding the place. I can't go down. Tang Xion's face turned ashen again. She did not know how Lin Yu was doing down there. Don't worry, girl. That kid is very meticulous. He killed so many people from Raging Fire Temple. So how could he let himself be in danger? You said that he entered the cave, so he might have already obtained the inheritance. That's why he dared to let Jiao Xingshan and the others go in and die. After listening to Xiao Mo's analysis, Tang Xin breathed a sigh of relief. However, on the other side, Yin Tian waited for a long time, but he did not see his disciple come up. My Raging Fire Temple. Where are the people from my Raging Fire Temple? Yin Tian asked in a low voice. He found a few people from low-level sects, but no one knew. Or rather, those who offended Lin Yu were all dead. The rest were either his people or Qing's people. As for Qing, she had already instructed not to mention what happened down there. If it were any other time, Yin Tian would definitely be angry and even kill a few people. However, now that there was a big shot here, he could only swallow all his questions in anger. There's a big problem. Xing Shan, Ghost Path. None of the remaining 7 of my raging fire 9 sons went up. Li Yi was not in the mood to pay attention to Yin Tian's raging fire temple. He took a few steps forward and bowed to the 2 outsiders. Sir, can you announce the results of the prince's battle next? May did not speak and focused on the demon beast forest. Just now, she seemed to have sensed an aura that made even her tremble. That kind of small matter, you can do whatever you want. Only May responded to Li Yi. Okay. Li Yi nodded and took a few steps back before announcing to the rest of the Outer Realm people. The winner of this prince's battle. Qing Qing's eyes were lonely, and Tang Xan was still worried about Lin Yu. Only Xiao and Mo was overjoyed and looked over expectantly. 9 luminaries dragon sealing cities, Tang Xin. As soon as Li Yi finished speaking, many people congratulated and fawned over 9 luminaries dragon sealing city. Only Dozong, Shun Yinran, and the others were surprised. Yinran, why did Lin Yu suddenly not come out? Chao Lu saw Shun Yinran come out alone and immediately asked, Young master. Shun Yinran shook her head. However, in the next moment, the demon beast forest below shook violently. Chapter 214. What's happening down there? This upheaval began from the announcement of the Emperor's victory, and it began to spread one after another. It also caused the Emperor's final attention to shift to the demon beast forest again. Look, the demon beast forest is rising again. Everyone saw that the seawater flowing backward at the edge of the demon beast forest was surging down even more rapidly. Above the demon beast forest, the pervasive mist suddenly split apart, revealing a tall, gray-colored tree. 10 trees. 100 trees. All the trees in the demon beast forest are rising. Countless tree tips pierced through the mist. Then, everyone heard the endless roars of the demon beasts. As if shaking the soul, they came from all directions one after another. How did they do it? Even the Emperor's tutor, Li Yi, looked at all this in horror. He had also thought of taking out the demon beast forest to expand the territory of his Jixiao library. However, the ability to move mountains and fill seas was still beyond his reach, even though he was at the Grand Supreme stage. Moreover, the demon beast forest was huge and deep under the sea. It was unimaginably difficult to make it appear and stand on the sea level. But now, the demon beast forest had directly broken through to the bottom of the island. At the same time, the entire Jixiao Library's island also shook at this moment. Activate the formation and move the island away. Li immediately ordered. Soon, the light of the formation rose from all sides of the island. Like a pair of huge hands, the island was pushed away from its original place. Li Yi heaved a sigh of relief. If it had been any later, he was really afraid that the demon beast forest would directly pierce through the Jixiao Library. It hasn't stopped yet. Even though the island where the Jixiao Library was located had moved away, the demon beast forest did not stop rising. It surpassed the Jixiao Library and leaped into the towering sky. The surrounding seawater was constantly brought up by the demon beast forest. At this moment, under the gravity, it sprinkled back onto the sea, setting off turbulent waves. That is a stick? Lia's eyes widened. When the seawater at the edge of the demon beast forest gradually stopped, he suddenly saw a scarlet stick in the center of the demon beast forest. Looking from afar, the entire demonic beast forest seemed to be held up by this stick. Impossible! How can there be such a powerful spiritual weapon in the world? Li was so shocked, let alone the others in the outer realm. Shun Yinran and the others didn't dare to breathe loudly as they looked at the demon beast forest rushing into the clouds. At this moment, it was like a fairyland in the sky, whereas the original muddy land at the bottom of the sea. But at this moment, both she and Tang Xin thought of the same person. Lin Yu didn't come out. But now, was he still in the air above the forest of demonic beasts? It wasn't just the people from the outer realms. Even the 2 grand characters looked to one another. Something's wrong. Is it that thing? The 2 of them rose into the air at the same time. May's speed was even faster. In an instant, she had stepped into the demonic beast forest. Then it fell. At the same time, the two of them sensed a force somewhere in the demonic beast forest. When they teleported over, they were already in front of the cave. At the entrance of the cave, Lin Yu sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. Transcendent realm? Mei frowned and glanced at Lin Yu's aura. He's only in the transcendent realm. How can he produce such a strong fluctuation? He slowly approached, but in the next moment, Lin Yu opened his eyes. Behind him, an even more terrifying voice came. As you said, food is delivered. An ancient and strange voice sounded. Mei's pupils dilated, and he saw a black light shrouding him. This is... Mei's mind turned and blocked in front of Mei. Mei was about to attack, but he was shocked to see Mei stop him. Back down. Mei's voice came, and behind her, a golden light rushed into the sky. Destruction law. She gritted her teeth coldly. In an instant, the black light and the golden light collided. The rumbling sound shook the sky. At this moment, everyone below could see the aftermath of the battle spreading out around the demonic beast forest. Then, there was a roar that resounded through the sky. The sky is going to split open. This is a battle at the law realm level. Could it be that there are law realms in the demon beast forest? Xiao Mo, Shun Suyi, and the others looked at all this in a daze. But before they could react, they saw two figures flying out of the demon beast forest. Mei, what is that? Mei's expression was solemn. He knew why Mei didn't let him receive the black light. It wasn't something he could resist. Even Mei, who was in the law realm, felt her aura become chaotic at this moment. His strength has increased by so much. Mei stared at the black light around the cave. The black light didn't chase after them, but what made her more curious was the young man in the black light. When her gaze fell on Lin Yu looked over at the same time. Only 2 of the 4 ghost generals came, Lin Yu said calmly, his voice echoing in all directions. Mei and Mei were shocked at the same time. Even with their status and state of mind, they were surprised that the other party recognized them immediately. Who are you? Mei said coldly. She was sure that he couldn't be treated as an ordinary transcendent realm young man. If it were an ordinary transcendent realm, the moment she and the black light clashed, the 4 roars of demon beasts would have killed countless people and the young man would have turned into ashes. But Lin Yu is unharmed. You don't have the right to know who I am. Lin Yu's voice sounded again. The existence that everyone in the outer region feared was nothing in front of Lin Yu. Presumptuous. Seeing Mei being looked down upon, Mei roared. 800 strands of supreme power formed a terrifying storm tornado, as if it would engulf the entire demon beast forest at any time. You two don't have the qualifications for New Ba to come personally. Lin Yu's voice sounded again. Mei blocked Mei and said to Lin Yu, "How did you recognize us?" Lin Yu didn't speak for a long time. The two looked at each other, and the fear in their eyes was obvious. The descendants of the Ghoul sect act secretly, but the Emperor's Gate may not be completely unaware of your actions. Lin Yu's voice finally sounded. New Ba's 4 ghost generals, Qi, Mei Wang, and Mei. Today, I've met the 2 of you, Mei and Mei. Unfortunately, you failed my expectations. I hope New Ba's strength won't disappoint me too much. You. Mei gritted her teeth. Her Ghoul sect was criticized by Lin Yu in a few words, but she didn't dare to make a move. She also knew that she couldn't take him down. In the previous move, she had already noticed that the other party's strength wasn't inferior to hers. Go. My patience is limited. If you're late, my good fortune won't be fated with the Ghoul sect. When his voice fell, the two understood the seriousness of the problem. Mei, what should we do? Good fortune. Go back and find someone. This matter isn't something we can solve. Her gaze never left Lin Yu for a moment, but his expression was as cold as ever. Mei wanted to see through Lin Yu, but she made no progress. Instead, it was as if Lin Yu already knew everything about herself. Let's go. The two stepped into the air and left. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows, and only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. If they continued fighting, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat them. Why didn't you let me eat them? A voice came from behind. Chapter 215. Lin Yu rubbed the space between his eyebrows. It's not time yet. You've already used 30% of your power to deal with May. It won't be too late to talk about it, after you've completely fused with the power of the Nirvana fruit. Below, Li Yi and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the other party leave. He left just like that. When he saw the fluctuations of the battle just now, he thought that today's matter would not be settled peacefully. But he did not expect the other party to leave just like that. Imperial Preceptor, what about the demon beast forest? Elder Jiang recovered and reminded him in a low voice. Li Yi looked troubled. Logically speaking, the demon beast forest was his, but after the battle just now, how could he not know how terrifying the things above were? He could not deal with something that even those two big shots were scared away. Forget it, leave the island. There's no need to get close. Li Yi made up his mind and decided not to. The formation of Jixiao Library was still there, and the entire island was about to leave. Suddenly, a voice came from the demon beast forest above. Imperial Preceptor, please wait. This voice startled Li Yi instinctively. He hurriedly turned around and bowed. He knew that the people above were even more difficult to deal with than the demons. Sir, what are your orders? But he felt that the other party's voice was somewhat familiar. The next moment, above the demon beast forest, a young man stepped down from the sky. Imperial Preceptor, why are you so polite? Lin Yu, why are you here? Li Yi gulped. You were up there the whole time. Lin Yu nodded. I have something to tell you. Have you seen those two big shots? Li Yi could not care less about what Lin Yu wanted to say. He only wanted to know who had scared the big shots away. I've seen them. Didn't I chase them away? Imperial Preceptor, don't be afraid. Lin Yu smiled faintly and patted Li Ye's shoulder. This almost made Li Ye's legs go soft. You chased them away? Do you know who they are? The woman is Mei, the only woman among the 4 ghost generals. Lin Yu touched his chin, recalling the days when he was trapped and how he tricked Mei into becoming friends with him. The man is Mei, Lin Yu said again. You, how did you know? Li Yi asked again in surprise. Lin Yu, where are the people from my raging fire temple? At this moment, Yin Tian's stern voice rang out. Now that the big shot had left, he naturally regained his confidence. Don't say anything. Li Yi glared at Yin Tian. The latter was stunned. Li Yi turned around and asked Lin Yu, how did you know? What does it have to do with Imperial Preceptor? Lin Yu felt that there was something wrong with this old man. Sai, do you know that they are from the ghost sect? They are extremely terrifying. Li Yi seemed to ignore Lin Yu's impatience. If you chase them away like this, if they come back one day, I'm afraid they will blame us outsiders. Oh, right. Lin Yu was too lazy to deal with Li Ye's emotions. He only said, I have to thank the Imperial Preceptor for announcing the cruel rules of the Battle of the Princes in advance, which reduced the number of people entering and prevented them from dying as chess pieces. Li Yu looked at Lin Yu warily and took a step closer. You know? Lin Yu nodded. I guessed it. Although the Imperial Preceptor is timid and doesn't dare to refute the orders of those people, at least he has some conscience. Ahem. Li Ye's face turned red and he sighed softly. This old man is old and just wants to live the rest of his life well. Sigh. This old man can't afford to offend them. Lin Yu is non-committal. But don't worry, they will come back. I asked them to bring Nuba too. These heartless words almost caused Li Yi to spit out a mouthful of blood. Nuba is an expert of the Emperor's sect. Why did you ask her to come? Li Ye's finger trembled as he pointed at Lin Yu. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Li Ye's reaction was within his expectations. Since the Imperial Preceptor knows the seriousness of the matter, you should leave as soon as possible. You want me to take refuge? That's right. Lin Yu smiled meaningfully. Soon, something serious will happen here. That's not right. You know about the things up there too? Lin Yu nodded. Imperial Preceptor, the matter of my raging fire temple is more important. Can we talk about the old days later? Yin Tian came up angrily. Li Yi looked at him disdainfully. Lord Yin Tian, this old man is very sad that Xing Shan died. But if you want to know the situation, why don't you go up and take a look yourself? Me? Yin Tian paused for a moment. I'm not stupid. How could I not know that there's something up there that can make even Law Realm experts flee in fear? What's the difference between going up there and courting death? Yin Tian thought to himself and smiled. Hee, I just want to ask Lin Yu first. As for the monster beast forest, this old man will go up in a few years. As he spoke, he stared at Lin Yu again. What? You don't dare to answer me. At this time, Xinyan ran, Greengrass, and the others came to Lin Yu's side. Young master, you finally come out. Xinyan Ran's eyes were red. When Lin Yu did not appear, she felt as if she was all alone here. After all, she was brought here by Lin Yu. Brother Lin, don't be afraid. We've already informed the sect master. Now that he's here, there's no need to be afraid of the raging fire temple. Greengrass said, holding a bouquet of flowers in her hand. She saw that Shun Yinran was unhappy, so she ran to pick them and want to give them to her. These flowers? Lin Yu pointed. Chao LV was stunned and looked at Shun Yinran. The latter was also looking at her, making Chao LV very nervous. At this, Greengrass's face turned red. I gave it to Lin Yu. This is for Brother Lin. This action caused many people to look at Lin Yu. So young Master Lin is, as expected, handsome people will end up like this. Many women who had heard of Lin Yu's elegance before also despised him in their hearts. Lin Yu's face twitched at Greengrass's action. He took the flowers and immediately gave them to Shun Yinran. Young Master, this, Shun Yinran naturally knew that Lin Yu was a very straightforward man. She lowered her head and took the flowers, her face turning red. Damn it. I already said that now is not the time to reminisce. Yin Tian was furious. First it was Li Yi, then it was the people of the Do Zone. Was he, the raging fire temple master, so undignified? The rest of you get lost. I'm looking for Lin Yu. Yin Tian stepped down, and the scorching power of the Grand Supreme formed a terrible storm, instantly isolating Lin Yu from the others. Young master, Shun Yinran wanted to go forward, but Lin Yu raised his hand to stop her. Don't come over. He knew that these people could not withstand Yin Tian's attack at all. That's right. Lin Yu never denied what he did, especially killing people. Old dog Yin Tian. Everyone from your raging fire temple who entered the demon beast forest. Lin Yu's lips curled up. While Yin Tian was looking forward to the whereabouts of his disciples, he said calmly, they all died in my hands. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the outer region was in an uproar. He's crazy. He actually dares to admit it? Idiot, idiot! Ching Ching and Tang Xian shouted one after another. You! Yin Tian's old face twitched, and the murderous intent in his eyes grew stronger. Nameless nobody, how dare you kill so many people from my raging fire temple? Very good, very good. The storm of the Grand Supreme suddenly intensified. At this moment, Yin Tian raised his hand. Lin Yu, are you ready to die? Just as Yin Tian's voice fell, suddenly, a huge warship broke through the sky and fell from the sky. Chapter 2:16. A voice came from the battleship. Low-profile sect's left envoy Yang Kai greets sect master. The loud voice echoed in all directions as Yang Kai's figure left the battleship and stepped into the air. At the same time, he waved his right hand, and a terrifying sword Qi slashed down from the sky, hitting Yin Tian's storm. A trivial, unconquerable realm cultivator? Yin Tian smiled disdainfully. He thought that such a powerful figure had arrived, but who knew that it was just an unconquerable realm cultivator? He casually raised his hand and sent out 3 strands of Grand Supreme Force. Yin Tian believed that these 3 strands were enough to defeat all unconquerable realm cultivators. However, the moment Yin Tian attacked, the power of the Exalted was destroyed by the collision of the sword Qi. It was directly shattered. What? Yin Tian's expression changed immediately, but it was too late. The sword Qi was too fast and had already struck down. Kong Long. The Grand Supreme Storm was in chaos, and Yin Tian was forced to retreat quickly. He knew that he had been careless. At this moment, a middle-aged man had already arrived in front of Lin Yu. Who are you? Yin Tian had never heard of low-profile sect. But in the next moment, another figure landed on the battleship. Low-profile sects right envoy Qin Wu Nian greets sect master. Qin Wu Nian stepped into the air, his grand supreme force erupting as he sent a palm strike towards Yin Tian. At the same time, the Black Dragon behind him also attacked. It was the Black Dragon Emperor's golden body Black Dragon that Qin Wu Nian had truly fused with. Now, not only had he perfectly inherited the Black Dragon Emperor's combat strength, but because of his talent and age, his Grand Supreme Force had already exceeded 100 strands. He was even stronger than the former 3 Emperors of the Four Directions star field. As the Black Dragon roared, a terrifying sound wave spread out and hit Yin Tian, who had already been defeated by Yang Kai once. Grand Supreme Realm. Yin Tian's face was solemn as he collided with the Black Dragon. Although Qin Wu Nian attacked first, his realm was lower than his opponent's, so this move did not seriously injure Yin Tian. However, his opponent continued to retreat until he was among the raging fire temple cultivators. Temple Master, who are they? How would I know? Yin Tian's face darkened. Lin Yu was right in front of him, but now he was actually stopped by 2 masters, especially when his gaze fell on Yang. This person seemed to be in the invincible state. However, his attainments in the Tao of the sword could break his exalted power with a single sword strike. That was the most terrifying part. His swordsmanship was comparable to that of a Grand Supreme. Even Li Yi and the others were shocked by the appearance of these 2 people. I've never heard of such a powerful sword Tao expert in the outer domain. And that young man, he's already a Grand Supreme at such a young age. However, the 2 of them clasped their fists and bowed to Lin Yu, while everyone else was still in shock. When the warship landed, there were hundreds of people on it. Qin Ji, Yang Qing, and the Wind and Moon Immortals. Except for Lu Wuhin and Long Lin, everyone else got off the warship and saluted Lin Yu. Greetings, Sect Master. His voice was like thunder, exploding in front of Lin Yu. Sect Master. He's a Sect Master? 2 Grand Supreme stage powerhouses under their command, and so many people have come to greet them. It can't be wrong. Yinran, why is your brother the sovereign? That's right, low-key sect. This name is too meaningful. Brother Lin, can I join your sect? Everyone was talking about it. However, Xin Yinran was scared out of her wits and immediately came to Lin Yu's side. Low-key sect. Brother, is this your new sect? Lin Yu smiled faintly, but his heart skipped a beat. Without him saying anything, Qin Ji had already come over. Elder Qin Ji of low-key sect greets the sect master. After she bowed, she took a step forward and leaned close to Lin Yu's ear. Her fragrance came, and she said, "We've been wandering for a while and finally found a place to stay. However, we needed a name to establish a sect, and we couldn't find you. After some discussion, we came up with a name. Low-key, didn't you tell us to keep a low profile every day?" Qin Ji continued. Now Elder Long and Elder Lu are at the new sect, and Yi and the others are there. As for the Battle of the Princes, I knew you would come after hearing about it, so I'll let everyone here to take a look. Sure enough, you're here. Smart. Lin Yu smiled faintly at Qin Ji, looking at her fragrant tongue and lips at a close distance. Lin Yu suddenly remembered something. Remember what you promised me. When things are settled, wash up and wait for me. You. Qin Ji looked at him angrily. Why are you thinking about this as soon as we meet? There are so many people here. While she whispered, she secretly looked around, afraid that someone would hear her. Fortunately, she was now reporting the situation to the sect master, so she was very close to Lin Yu. She probably didn't notice that Shun Yinran's heart was pounding. Sai, you guys actually chose such a low-key name? Lin Yu was helpless. If you don't like it, we can change it. Everyone will follow your lead. Qin Wunyan smiled. The others were the same. Seeing Lin Yu, they finally calmed down. After all, they all followed Lin Yu from the four-way star field. Although Qin Wunyan and Yang Kai both had Grand Supremes, Lin Yu was still the soul of low-key sect. That's not necessary. One should keep a low profile. I like the name low-key sect very much. Lin Yu knew that these people had done a lot of things behind his back, especially the main members like Qin Ji, who had to find a good place in an unfamiliar place. Only they knew how much trouble they had to face. But the problem now is that I heard that to establish a sect in the outer star field, you need to be recognized by 2 high-grade sects. Qin said with a troubled look, "We have also visited this place and Raging Fire Temple, but we were all rejected." "You even went to Raging Fire Temple?" Lin Yu asked with interest. Qin nodded and looked to the other side. "They seem to be from Raging Fire Temple. When we visited, we couldn't even enter the door." "That's easy. I already have their recognition." Lin Yu smiled at Li Yi and Xiao Mo. "Isn't that right?" Qin Wunyan, and the others' hearts tightened. "Kid, you're really fast." Qin chuckled softly. They also settled down, but there was no progress in getting the recognition of a high-grade sect. Who knew that Lin Yu had already done it? "I'm not fast, you know." Lin Yu glanced at her, scaring Qin into blushing. Fortunately, Lin Yu deliberately whispered so that no one heard. Otherwise, she would really be ashamed to death. Li Yi heard this and also came back to his senses. He smiled and said, "Of course, this king can help you recognize it now." On the other side, Tang Xian also immediately pulled Xiao Mo's sleeve, asking him to respond to Lin Yu's words. "Oh," Xiao Mo reacted and immediately cupped his fist to Lin Yu. "My 9 Luminaries Dragon Sealing City is also willing to help young Master Lin." Chapter 217. That's good. Lin Yu was not worried that the 2 of them would change their minds. He knew them well. Now that the 2 high-level sects have approved, the low-profile sect is officially established. Li Yi added, then pulled Lin Yu to the side and asked in a low voice, "But what about Nu Ba? Did you really call her here?" "Yes." Lin Yu nodded seriously. Before Li Yi asked, he still had a little hope. He hoped that Lin Yu was joking. But now, he let out a long sigh and could only give up on this idea. "If you can come out of Nu Ba's hands alive, I will immediately help you settle all the trivial matters of the new sect in the Outer Realm." Lin Yu smiled faintly when he heard this. He then turned to the direction of the Raging Fire Temple and asked Qin, "How big is the territory of our low-profile sect?" "About 10 mu. That won't do." Lin Yu immediately shook his head. "The new territory needs at least 1,000 mu. Otherwise, how can it live up to the name of low-profile sect?" Qin Wunyan, and the others all felt their hearts tighten. For them, it was not easy to find a shelter of 10 mu in this strange place. But Lin Yu's words sounded ambitious. It was even difficult to do it now. And yet, their morale was always boosted by his words. This might be the power of a leader. Sectmaster is right. Qin nodded solemnly. Then the question came, "But where are we going to get 1,000 mu of territory?" She soon saw Lin Yu laughing in the direction of Yin Tian. You can't be thinking of..." Just as she finished speaking, Yin Tian was already furious. "Do you think I'm dead? You actually want to snatch my Raging Fire Temple?" Hall Master Yin is finally smart for once. Lin Yu smiled gently. "Didn't you say that I'm nameless and have no sect? Today, I'll show you what low-profile sect is. My Raging Fire Temple is a high-level sect with just you." Yin Tian was furious. Today, he had never been respected by anyone. Lin Yu ignored him and instead looked at Yang Kai and Qin Wunyan. "Can you take him down?" When the 2 heard this, they looked at each other and said in unison, "Yes." "Then let's do it." As Lin Yu's voice fell, he saw Qin Wunyan and Qin Wushuang attack Yin Tian. Yin Tian didn't expect that Lin Yu would really make a move against him in front of so many people from other sections. One had to know that his Raging Fire Temple was a high-ranked sect, while Lin Yu's low-key sect had no reputation in the outer domain. What did he count for? This. Can Lin Yu's men defeat Yin Tian? This is not Yin Tian's problem alone. There are also Jixiao Library and Emperor Sect who have a good relationship with Raging Fire Temple. Lin Yu is taking too much of a risk. According to the moral character of a high-level sect, once they help the Raging Fire Temple, the low-key sect will be finished today. It seems that Lin Yu is still too young. What a pity. Yin Tian wasn't in peak condition to begin with. Now that he was facing the combined attack of two Grand Supreme Stage combat forces, he was retreating. He immediately shouted, "Shun Sui, Emperor Preceptor, what are you waiting for?" This. Emperor Preceptor Li narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Lin Yu to make a move against the Raging Fire Temple. "What do you think of my chances of winning this time, Emperor Preceptor?" Lin Yu stood beside Li Yi with his hands behind his back. He looked like he was giving advice. Li Yi frowned. His old face flickered a few times, but he still couldn't make up his mind. "Xia Bing, bring it over." When Lin Yu's voice rang out, a fair-skinned beauty immediately walked out from the group of people from the low-key sect. She bowed in front of Lin Yu. Then, she took out a large brocade box from her storage ring. Lin Yu took it and casually placed it in Li Ye's hand. Lin Yu asked her to prepare these things in advance after he and Xia Bing were separated. Lin Yu once promised Emperor Preceptor something. Now it's time to give it to him. Li couldn't wait to open the brocade box. Inside, there were 10 crystal-clear Sacred Heart pills. "Young master, your words carry enormous weight." Li put away the brocade box and gently bowed. "This old man knows what to do." "That's good." The matter of Emperor Preceptor sacrificing Jiuxing Mountain will forever sink to the bottom of the sea with the destruction of the Raging Fire Temple. Lin Yu smiled again. Li Ye's heart trembled. This sentence meant that it was impossible for him to repair his relationship with the Raging Fire Temple. Rather than being punished by the Raging Fire Temple in the future, why not thinking of this? A murderous intent flashed in Li Ye's eyes. "Men." Elder Jiang immediately appeared beside him. "Go and clean up the ambush arranged by the Raging Fire Temple around the island." Emperor Preceptor, this? Elder Jiang looked troubled. He really didn't expect the Emperor Preceptor to choose to help the unknown low-key sect in the end. Strange. After doing this, Li Yi turned to Lin Yu. "Young master, although the Raging Fire Temple is in a bad state now, they have their own foundation. Even if Jixia Book Pavilion goes all out, they may not be able to take them down." Lin Yu smiled non-committally. "It doesn't matter. The Emperor Preceptor is not the only one who will choose a side." Of course, he wouldn't believe the old fox Li Yi. Lin Yu knew that with Jixia Book Pavilion's foundation, if they really went all out, the Raging Fire Temple could forget about leaving the island today. However, Li Yi said that he couldn't take them down even if he went all out. In fact, he only used 20 to 30% of his strength. "Young master, do you have other backup plans?" Li Yi asked again. He really wanted to know how many things this kid had done under the surface, even though he was participating in the Battle of the Princes. But soon, in the direction of Dragon Sealing City, they heard that Xiao Mo had joined the battle against Yin Tian. "Damn it, Shun Sui, Emperor Preceptor, what are you doing?" Yin Tian roared. He didn't expect that not only did no help come today, but more and more helpers from the low-key sect. Take down the Raging Fire Temple. The Raging Fire Temple is usually domineering. Today, let's let them have a taste of our power. Many low-level sects also joined the battle under Shun Yinran's encouragement. But on the other side, when Shun Sui was about to help the Raging Fire Temple, she was stopped by Qing Qing. "Master, the Raging Fire Temple's momentum is gone." Hearing this, Shun Sui frowned slightly. How can a high-level sect be defeated so easily? Qing Qing sighed softly, and her gaze fell on Lin Yu in the distance. "I didn't expect that in such a short time, he has already made the Emperor Preceptor stand on his side. In his own low-key sect, those people's combat strength is not low. Master, Lin Yu is the most powerful opponent I have ever seen. If we help the Raging Fire Temple now, we will be going against Lin Yu." Shun Sui naturally stood on the Raging Fire Temple's side at the beginning. Between a high-ranked sect and a newly established sect, everyone knew which one to choose. But Qing Qing's judgment was not unreasonable. "It seems that you are instinctively afraid of Lin Yu." Shun Sui wanted to know more about Lin Yu. So Qing Qing nodded seriously. She suddenly remembered what Lin Yu said to Tang Xin at that time. Reward those who did something. Like an emperor, he was clear about rewards and punishments. Qing Qing knew that she would never have that kind of sharp spirit in her life. "Master, Lin Yu can't be an enemy." Chapter 218. She couldn't be his enemy. Shun Suyi knew that her disciple was also an elite in the outer region. Her talent wasn't below Jiao Xingshan and Tang Xin. However, in such a short period of time, she had already become so fearful of Lin Yu. Shinsuyi couldn't help but reconsider. Which side should her emperor's sect side with? However, just as she was thinking, another cyclone appeared in the sky. It was a chilling aura that descended from the sky. A phoenix that was condensed from ice looked down at the ground. It flapped its wings that covered the sky as it descended. On the phoenix, a woman looked down at everyone on the island. Her gaze finally landed on Lin Yu. Is that the Cold Moon Lady Palace? The woman on the ice phoenix stepped on the air, and ice lotuses bloomed beneath her feet. She arrived in front of Lin Yu and bowed. Fei Yu is here to assist you. Behind Dongwang Fei Yu was Yuenga. Seeing everyone from the low-key sect, Yuenga smiled happily. She noticed that the Wind Moon clan's 4 fairies had also arrived. She immediately went forward excitedly. Patriarch Su Feng and the others also went forward. Qiu Lingshan and the others had tears in their eyes. After being separated for a long time, the Wind Moon 5 fairies finally gathered together again. On the other side, Dongwang Fei Yu was looking at Yin Tian's battle. Do you still remember what you said? Oh. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Dongwang Fei Yu lowered her head and murmured. You once said that the tree wants to be still, but the wind won't stop. Fei Yu already understands. The instant she finished speaking, the ice lotuses transformed into a beautiful arc. Dongwang Fei Yu had already joined the battle. Lin Yu looked at all of this with interest. He knew that the time was ripe. At the same time, he shouted to everyone, if anyone wants to help the Raging Fire Temple, you can do it now. Lin Yu raised his hands, and the corner of his mouth curled up. If Buddha comes, we'll kill Buddha. If God comes, we'll kill God. Today, the low-key sect will annihilate the entire Raging Fire Temple. No one will be left alive. His arrogant voice mixed with Lin Yu's 3-in-1 realm resounded throughout the entire island. He still had the appearance of a teenager. However, in everyone's eyes, they no longer dared to treat him as an ordinary transcendent realm teenager. Low-profile sect, Jixiao Library, and Cold Moon Palace. With all these forces working together, the Raging Fire Temple, which was supposed to have suffered a great loss today, wanted to annihilate the entire sect. If Buddha comes, kill Buddha. If God comes, kill God. In the distance, the people who were still waiting to see if they should make a move heard these words. How arrogant! That young man wanted to destroy a high-grade sect in front of all the important figures in the outer realms. He was arrogant to the extreme. However, after he said those words, the only thing that could be heard in the entire place was Yin Tian's voice as he crashed into the ground. No more voices of opposition could be heard. No one dared to help the Raging Fire Temple. At the same time, the rest of the people from Raging Fire Temple either died or surrendered with injuries. Lin Yu landed on the ground, standing in front of the crater with his hands clasped behind his back. His right foot was immediately grabbed by a hand. It was Yin Tian, who had climbed out of the pit in a sorry state. Lin Yu. Yin Tian's hair was messy as he kept shaking his head. Even though he had underestimated this young man from the beginning. Even though he had instigated Jiao Xingshan to kill this kid who had appeared out of nowhere and wanted to participate in the Battle of the Princes. But now, he no longer dared to underestimate him. All that was left was endless fear and regret. Lin Yu, let me go. Raging Fire Temple, this old man is willing. Yin Tian coughed out a mouthful of blood. This old man is willing to surrender. Surrender? Why do I need you to surrender? Lin Yu looked down at Yin Tian and stepped on his head. Do you know why I'm attacking now? Yin Tian narrowed his eyes and was shocked again. How could he not know? Previously, he had ridiculed Lin Yu's nameless sect. Now, the low-profile sect had appeared out of nowhere. If they destroyed the Raging Fire Temple, it would be the best opportunity to establish their might. From today onwards, no one would dare to underestimate the low-profile sect. Even if Lin Yu attacked today, the Raging Fire Temple might not be the best stepping stone for the low-profile sect. This old man is willing to follow the lead of the low-profile sect. Yin Tian gritted his teeth and said again, as long as he could survive today, he was willing to pay any price. As long as he had a chance to turn things around, it would be Lin Yu's death. Thinking of this, Yin Tian got up with difficulty and knelt down in front of Lin Yu in front of everyone. This old man is willing to submit to the low-profile sect Master Lin. Is this still the raging fire temple we know? Every dog has its day. The raging fire temple that was once invincible has finally met its match. Listening to the discussions around him, Yin Tian's face was not red at all. He still lowered his head and prostrated on the ground. Even if he had lost once, he would find a way to turn things around. He knew that it was extremely easy for a teenager to become soft-hearted after a victory. Yin Tian was sure that Lin Yu would keep him, a capable helper with 300 paths of the Grand Supreme stage. After all, in the outer domain, he had experienced the desire of a fledgling sect like the low-profile sect for talents. Lin Yu half-squatted, his eyes as calm as water, even though the people around him had already exploded. They were full of praise and flattery for him being able to take down the raging fire temple sect master. However, Lin Yu did not seem to be proud of himself at all. It was as if from the beginning, Yin Tian was nothing in his eyes. Are you sure that I will let you go? Lin Yu's voice sounded, and it immediately made Yin Tian feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He did not expect that Lin Yu's first sentence would be to see through his thoughts. Lin Yu, I will definitely be loyal to the low-profile sect in the future. No, Lin Yu interrupted him and said in a voice that everyone could hear, the low-profile sect established itself in the outer domain with a low profile. Everyone knows that you, Yin Tian, are arrogant and despotic. His tone was still incomparably calm. He slowly stood up and stomped down. No, Yin Tian roared. Under Lin Yu's feet, the yin-yang glory gathered and smashed down on his head. He widened his eyes and did not have the chance to close them. This raging fire temple master, who was extremely ferocious for a time, never would have thought that Lin Yu would not even accept his surrender. You, Yin Tian, are not suitable for the raging fire temple. As Lin Yu's last sentence fell, the rest of the raging fire temple people were all slaughtered. How was the low-profile sect established with a low profile? It was clearly more high-profile than any other sect. Lin, Sect Master Lin, we wish to submit to the low-profile sect. Yes, if Sect Master Lin doesn't mind, the Seven Kill sect is also willing to submit. The low-profile sect appeared out of nowhere and destroyed the raging fire temple. The might shook the outer domain. The 300 disciples of the 6 islands and 7 domains are also willing to submit. Some of the sects that were scared silly had already taken the initiative to submit. Lin Yu did not need to say anything. Qin Ji glanced at him and went to make the arrangements. Li Yi and Xiao Mo came to Lin Yu's side. They took the initiative to greet the latter. Chapter 219. Now their hearts were cold. They had not expected that Lin Yu's sect would kill Yin Tian right away. Lin Yu was able to kill Yin Tian today because the Raging Fire Temple had already suffered a great loss after the battle between the princes. In addition, Lin Yu had formed an alliance with Jixiao Library and 9 Luminaries Dragon Sealing City beforehand. The right time, place, and people had all come together. The two of them had been in the outer region for many years, so they could naturally tell that all of this was within Lin Yu's expectations. At this moment, Lin Yu's decision was also extremely correct. Today was the final moment to attack the Raging Fire Temple. Even if it was a few hours later, Yin Tian would have a chance to return to the Raging Fire Temple to set up the array formation or contact other sects to deal with the low-key sect. At that time, the price they would have to pay would be dozens of times more tragic than now. Lin Yu gambled on taking down Yin Tian now, and he won. Congratulations, Sect Master Lin. From now on, the low-key sect is comparable to a high-level sect in the outer region. Yes, to be able to take down that old thief Yin Tian, we naturally meet the standards of a high-level sect. Xiao Mo and Li Yi said one after another. The two of them looked at each other, admiring each other's previous positions. Lord Imperial Preceptor has long seen that Sect Master Lin is different. I was one step behind you. Imperial Preceptor's vision is still above mine. This sentence flattered Lin Yu and Li Yi at the same time. It caught Li Yi a little off guard. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said, Sect Master Lin is like the bright moon in the dark night sky. Even if I wasn't the first to notice it, I believe City Lord Xiao will definitely notice it. Li Yi also said the same thing. This made Lin Yu smile in his heart. In terms of strategy, he might be comparable to the two of them. But in terms of business flattery, he had to admit defeat. Seniors, you flatter me. Can Lin Yu's low-key sect stay on the island for the night? He looked at Li Yi, who quickly nodded. Of course, he was willing. Not only did he want Lin Yu to stay, but he also wanted him to find a way to solve the problem caused by the funds. Sect Leader Lin, what are you saying? If you are so courteous to me, it means that you don't treat me as a friend. Li Yi laughed heartily and patted Lin Yu's shoulder. His loud voice spread in all directions. From today onwards, Sect Master Lin is a friend of Jixia Library. Don't be so polite anymore. With that, Li had already arranged for everyone from the low-key sect to enter Jixia Library. As for Lin Yu, he naturally took out the best place. It was a tall and luxurious palace. At this moment, Li Yi had already left. He had also sent dozens of maids to serve Lin Yu at any time. However, they were all sent outside by Lin Yu. He really didn't like the looks of these maidservants. He might as well be quick. Kotoji had arrived. Sect Master. Kotoji first bowed sideways before saying, the left emissary and right emissary have already gone to deal with the remnants of the Raging Fire Temple. As for the low-level sects in the outer regions, many of them have surrendered to us. There are about 1,700 of them. On one hand, it's because they have seen the strength of our low-key sect. On the other hand, it's because they have also suffered heavy losses in the Battle of the Princes. They have no intention of returning to their original sects and want to find a new one. Kotoji continued meticulously. This time, our current harvest from the Raging Fire Temple has exceeded 10 billion glory baht. As for the subsequent harvest, we will need to wait for the left and right emissaries to return before we know. Lin Yu smiled with relief. I really didn't misjudge you, my executive elder. After hearing that, Kotoji half knelt. How could she not know what he meant? I acted on my own initiative. Please forgive me, Sect Master. What crime? Kotoji continued to explain. When the sect was established, everyone still needed a name to facilitate things, so I boldly established the positions of the left and right emissaries and elders. The duties of the elders are the same as those of the forgotten immortal sect. The 12 elders are responsible for different trivial matters. Above the elders are the left and right emissaries. Their duties are mainly to assist in the sect's affairs. Kotoji explained the other positions. Lin Yu had an impression of almost all the people who had their own duties. After hearing that, he touched the armrest beside him and said, It's a little inappropriate. Please tell me, Sect Master. I'll do it immediately. Lin Yu sat on a wooden chair in the main hall. The furnishings of Jixia Library were not dazzling, but a kind of restrained luxury. For example, the wooden chair Lin Yu was sitting on now was worth no less than the glory chair of some sections. He smiled faintly and said, It's inappropriate. Lin Yu touched his chin. Let's prepare the brush and ink. The maidservant outside the hall immediately came in and prepared everything for Lin Yu at the side of the hall. Lin Yu wrote a few names, positions, and duties on the paper. If there's anything inappropriate, change it according to this. Kotoji nodded and took the paper. The first thing she saw was her name. Kotoji, head of the 12 elders, responsible for the distribution of the sect's treasury. Yuinga, second of the 12 elders, deputy elders of the 4 immortals of zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting, responsible for the sect's music, calligraphy, painting, chess, and calligraphy training. Yang Qin, 12th elder, deputy elder of the sword fanatic, responsible for the sect's disciples' sword training. Long Lin, 12th elder, Lu Wuhan, deputy elder Yi Mingwei, responsible for the sect's sword, spear, whip, and other weapon training. Jun Wushang, 12th Elder. Xinghe, Xiaomingke, responsible for the sect's diplomacy, alliance, and other matters. Exterminating Ape, Sect Guardian Beast, guarding the Flame Cave. Eight-Winged Demon Emperor Python, Sect Guardian Beast, guarding the Heavenly Lake. Sect Master, we're the Flame Cave and the Heavenly Lake. Inside the Raging Fire Temple. Sect Master has been to the Raging Fire Temple? Oh, I heard about it. Lin Yu answered casually. In 100,000 years he had been trapped, he had learned about the Raging Fire Temple. Of course, he knew the nature of Yin Tian and the people inside. Therefore, the Raging Fire Temple was destined to be destroyed from the beginning. Of course, he did not care about the good or bad of the Raging Fire Temple. However, the Raging Fire Temple's territory was surrounded by mountains and rivers. It was the place with the greatest destiny in the outer territory. This was the biggest mistake of the Raging Fire Temple. The more Qin-Ji read, the more shocked she became. She gasped, and finally, her gaze fell on the last sentence of the order. Special decree. Reward the good and punish the evil. The left envoy Yang Kai and the right envoy Qin Wenyin are subordinate to the sect master. Their actions are not within the responsibility of the 12th elder. They are responsible for the punishment and rewards of the sect. She swallowed. Is this really the first time the sect master has established a sect? Yes. Lin Yu answered without thinking. I don't believe it. Qin-Ji shook her head. Lin Yu could complete the conferment of a sect in less than half a cup of tea's time. Moreover, the degree of completeness was much better than the results of her staying up late for several days. Especially the special changes of the reward the good and punish the evil envoys. From the beginning, they assisted the elders to now being under one person and above tens of thousands. They had completely become Lin Yu's blade in charge of the sect. Chapter 220. As long as the two of them were there, even if Lin Yu wasn't in the sect, there wouldn't be any trouble. Being under one and above thousands of people was the greatest authority. Even Lin Yu kept two people in this position. It also contained the intention of mutual assistance and checks and balances. Sect Master is a born emperor. With you here, I'm afraid my efforts during this period are unnecessary. Qin-Ji sighed softly. This wasn't her acting coquettishly to Lin Yu, but a sense of frustration. Especially at the beginning, Lin Yu was still worried about her face and only said that it was a little inappropriate and needed to be changed. How is it a little inappropriate? More than 70% had been rearranged by Lin Yu. No, you're the leader of the 12 elders. You're very important to me. Lin Yu smiled faintly, and his right hand passed through Qin-Ji's willowy waist. The latter originally wanted to escape, but Lin Yu's speed was fast beyond her imagination. With a sound, she was already in Lin Yu's arms. Sect Master is getting more and more powerful. After Qin-Ji finished speaking, she was afraid that Lin Yu would tease her, so she immediately said, I'm talking about Sect Master's skill. She didn't expect that when she first met Lin Yu, he was still a kid in the first ignition of the Samsara realm. At that time, Qin-Ji almost killed Lin Yu. At that time, Lin Yu was indeed someone that Qin-Ji could kill at will. Now, Qin-Ji knew that even if Lin Yu's cultivation was only in the transcendent realm 3 suns, in terms of real combat strength, she couldn't withstand Lin Yu's moves. I don't want to hear your explanation. Lin Yu lowered his head, and Qin-Ji had already closed her eyes. But for a long time, she didn't see any further changes in her body. She slowly opened her eyes. At this moment, Lin Yu was looking at her with an innocent face. Qin-Ji was so frightened that she immediately took a few steps back and left Lin Yu's arms. What are you thinking about? Lin Yu teased. After hearing this, even with Qin-Ji's mental state, her pretty face turned red at this moment. It's all right. If Sect Master doesn't have any other instructions, Qin-Ji will leave first. She didn't wait for Lin Yu's response at all and had already walked out of the hall in quick steps. Lin Yu sat down again and sighed softly. Of course, he also understood Qin-Ji's state of mind. If a woman fell in love with him, it would be easier for him to use her. But because of this, Lin Yu didn't want to take the final step with coterie for the time being. This was because her feelings for him had already affected her judgment. I didn't realize that one of the 12 elders was missing. Lin Yu shook his head. In this position, Lin Yu hoped to be in charge of the sect's training. He needed the most powerful assistant to be his assistant. Sect Master, Miss Tang Xin of Dragon Sealing City, requests an audience. The maidservant knelt outside the hall and said. Lin Yu's thoughts were interrupted. Come in. Soon, Tang Xin walked into the hall with light steps. She immediately bowed and said, Tang Xin greets Sect Master Lin. What's the matter? Lin Yu said faintly. His deal with the 9 luminaries Dragon Sealing City had basically ended when Xiao Mo attacked Yin Tian. But since Tang Xin came specially, he could guess some things. I'm here on the orders of my master to congratulate the establishment of low-key sect. Then, Tang Xin took out many brocade boxes. These are the congratulatory gifts from Dragon Sealing City to Sect Master Lin. Lin Yu didn't even look at the congratulatory gifts. His gaze was fixed on Tang Xin. Which sect has chosen you? Tang Xion's heart tightened. The quasi-emperor's sect, Xian sect, is willing to take me in. Since she had become an emperor, there would naturally be quasi-emperors or even emperor-level sects taking her in as a disciple. This was also a chance for people from the outer region to enter the inner region and the core. Xian sect, huh? The Black Heaven sect is upright, and their disciples have a good character. Lin Yu touched his chin. It's not bad for you to go there. Work hard. Okay. Tang Xin was stunned. Did Lin Yu know someone from Xian sect? She only dared to guess and didn't ask further. She nodded. I'm here to bid farewell to Sect Master Lin. Lin Yu didn't comment. Go ahead. Then, Tang Xin didn't seem to know how to continue. She and Lin Yu seemed to only have a relationship of mutual benefit. But Lin Yu had given her all the beast pearls at the last moment, and it was in front of Qing Qing. This made Tang Xion's feelings towards Lin Yu change subtly. Tang Xin looked at Lin Yu and felt the condescending coldness of an emperor. She didn't think too much and left. Tang Xin stopped at the entrance of the hall and bowed to Lin Yu again. Tang Xion's success today is all thanks to you, young master. If you need my help in the future, I'll go through fire and water without hesitation. But Tang Xin will also help you climb to the top. You'll never need my help. Lin Yu knew that Tang Xin called him young master to emphasize the things that happened in the Demon Beast Forest. He nodded. Tang Xion's heart skipped a beat. Helping each other in the Demon Beast Forest was a thing of the past. Now, there was no young Master Lin in the outer region who was full of schemes and didn't belong to any sect. There was only the sect master of a low-key sect who was on the same level as her master, Xiao Mo. Tang Xin pursed her lips and left the hall. But not long after she left, Yao Gu was already outside the hall. She agreed? Lin Yu asked. Yao Gu nodded. Young master. Sect master is wise. Master has agreed. But Yao Gu hesitated. Go on. Master still wants to keep the system of the Cold Moon Palace. Of course, she can stay in a low-key sect. Very well. Pass down my order. Yao Gu immediately half-knelt. Dong Wang Feiyu will be the 12th elder of a low-key sect. He will be in charge of the sect's cultivation methods. No one is allowed to stop the disciples of the Cold Moon Palace from entering the sect. Yao Gu was overjoyed. Yes, I'll tell Master now. Lin Yu nodded. He knew that from this moment on, his low-key sect was officially taking shape. It was already nighttime since the end of the Battle of the Princes. The sky was shrouded in the clear night sky, and the Jixiao library was plunged into darkness. Lin Yu wanted to have a good night's sleep, but he didn't expect someone to come knocking. Is Sect Master Lin asleep? Hearing the voice, Lin Yu knew that it was Li Yi. You didn't look for me during the day and only came at night. Imperial Preceptor really knows how to pick the time. Lin Yu opened the door. Li Yi looked around. After making sure that there was no one, he came in with an awkward smile. I'm just being on the safe side. After all, my conversation with Sect Master Lin was not very honorable. Lin Yu smiled. Imperial Preceptor, are you ready to run? Li Yi's old face twitched. It was all because of Lin Yu that he provoked the Hellgate. He wanted to sacrifice Jiao Xingshan to solve the problem, but now he had to force the entire Jishao library to run. It's just a temporary measure. Li coughed dryly. This old man wants to ask Master Lin if there will be any trouble after this old man leaves, right? Chapter 2:21. Trouble? Are you afraid that the Netherworld sect will settle the score with you after dealing with me? Sect Master Lin is indeed smart. Li immediately nodded. Don't worry, Nuba won't be interested in Jishao Library. When Lin Yu blurted out these words, Li Yi was stunned for a moment. In the past, he would have flipped out, but now, Li Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that being weak has its benefits. I'm old, Sect Master Lin, don't lie to me. I won't find trouble with you. Lin Yu put a hand on Li Ye's shoulder. You can move to the island now. The remnants of the Raging Fire Temple should have been cleaned up. Jishao Library can be neighbors with low-key sect. This, Li Ye's old face was overjoyed. This is a good idea. Although he had not known Lin Yu for long, he had already determined Lin Yu's strength. This kid would never be at a disadvantage. Li Yi felt that it was a good idea to be tied to low-key sect before Nuba arrived. Then I'll leave immediately. I'll lend you a free ride for your people from low-key sect and send you back. Lin Yu smiled and cupped his fists. Thank you, Imperial Preceptor. Li Ye's suspended heart finally settled down. Lin Yu had caused the disaster himself and solved it himself. It would be best if he could hide far away and stay out of it. Moreover, there were people from low-key sect. Li Yi thought that if something really happened, at least there would be people to accompany him to the grave. Seeing Li Yi leave, the room returned to calm. Lin Yu estimated the time. Nuba should be here soon. He decided not to sleep and sent a few words to Qin Ji, asking them to return to low-key sect first. He also asked her to distribute the territory she had bought to the low-level sects as a branch. Then, he immediately left the island and stepped into the air. In the blink of an eye, the island below also began to move slowly in the middle of the night. His destination was naturally in the direction of low-key sect. Li did not want others to know that he was running away. At least it would be better if they found out later. So this time, the movement was extremely small. In the night, a continent had already left the ocean at a low speed. As for Lin Yu, he was alone in the demonic beast forest in the sky. It seems that you have already grasped the full power of the Nirvana fruit in one day. Lin Yu stood in front of the demon cave and sensed the aura inside. No one dared to come up here. It was pitch black all around. Only Lin Yu's voice could be heard. In your current state, you can block one of Nu Ba's attacks. Lin Yu once again sensed Black Feather's aura. After estimating it, an ancient and strange voice came from within. Human, what do you want? The voice seemed to be curious about Lin Yu's thoughts. I want all of your power. Lin Yu said indifferently, but He Yu's voice was filled with disdain. Even if I give it to you now, you won't be able to withstand it. Of course. Lin Yu shrugged. If he could bear it now, he would have already swallowed the Nirvana fruit. Do you know what realm you need to be in to withstand my current strength? That voice said again. Grand Supreme. Lin Yu finished speaking indifferently and was immediately refuted by the voice in the cave. No, even the laws are no more than ants, let alone Grand Supreme. Not so. Lin Yu also raised the corner of his mouth and retorted. Grand Supreme is enough. He still believed in his judgment. The voice hesitated for a long time before it said, Grand Supreme, perhaps your Grand Supreme realm is different from those mortals. Lin Yu smiled confidently. It's good that you know. With that, he turned and left. Wait. Lin Yu turned around with great interest. What's wrong? Don't die. Hearing that, Lin Yu looked at the pitch-black cave in surprise. Your growth is quite impressive. It seems that you've already noticed it. After a long time, a voice came from the cave. The art of blood refining the heart meridians. I didn't expect that later generations of humans could create such a powerful thing. If you die, I die. If you live, I live. Very good. Lin Yu smiled with satisfaction and confirmed his thoughts. Later generations of humans. He knew that the art of blood refining the heart had been passed down to him for 1,000,000 years. And He Yu called it later generations, which meant that He Yu came from 1,000,000 years ago. Is it the era that was forgotten by the world? Lin Yu murmured in his heart. Don't worry, I won't die so easily. He raised his head and looked around the demon beast forest. If this place becomes a secret realm of the star field, a public secret realm, then you will have an endless supply of food. However, I don't know if you can stop those people. Presumptuous. Heiyu's voice was filled with rage. The entire demonic beast forest started to shake violently. The ground around Lin Yu instantly shattered. Only the ground under Lin Yu's feet was still intact. The current Heiyu no longer dared to hurt Lin Yu. Human, I am not someone you can underestimate. Very good. Lin Yu raised his hand. Then let's make this place a secret realm where everyone knows there are treasures. Let food come to the door. Since Heiyu was confident, Lin Yu didn't mind making it bigger. He had done a lot of exploring secret realms. It was his first time creating a secret realm treasure. It was like a farmer planting a seed. Lin Yu is this farmer. After you deal with New Ba, I will let people spread the news about this secret realm. Lin Yu suddenly looked forward to it. At that time, the power here, how many people who were not afraid of death could be attracted? But in the end, Lin Yu was the only one who benefited from all of their fights. He set up a secret realm trap to deceive the world. At that time, I want to see your growth. After saying that, when Lin Yu was about to leave, he saw the force under his feet. Suddenly, a dark storm spread. Lin Yu's clothes fluttered, and his black hair flapped. He didn't resist at all. He had already sensed a terrifying force that was quickly drilling into his body. My clan has never owed humans. Lin Yu listened and smiled. He closed his eyes and let the black light engulf him. After dawn, when he opened his eyes, it was as if there were stars flashing in his eyes. Lin Yu stood up, and the aura in his body suddenly burst out. Cultivation, battle physique, divine will. At this moment, he broke through in all aspects. 4 suns, transcendent realm. 5 suns, transcendent realm. 6 suns, transcendent realm. Lin Yu's arm made cracking sounds. He raised his right hand and clenched his fist. The yin-yang qi instantly gathered, and a storm blasted out with his fist. This yin-yang qi storm was unstoppable, crushing countless trees. It directly penetrated outside the monster beast forest and disappeared into the clouds. The remaining force caused the wind and clouds to reverse, and the moonlight was instantly cut into fragments. Lin Yu stretched out his hand. He judged that with his current yin-yang realm cultivation, he could crush all invincible realm opponents. With other trump cards, even if he encountered Grand Supreme, he might be able to fight. However, Lin Yu's new strength was not limited to that. The next moment, he felt a sharp pain on his back. Chapter 222. Pain spread throughout his body. At this time, Lin Yu's backbones actually began to shift, and 2 cracks quickly appeared. Lin Yu clenched his teeth tightly. After enduring the intense pain, the 3 elements in one realm in his body gradually disappeared. His glory chi was also absorbed into his body at this moment. Suddenly, Lin Yu looked like an ordinary person. However, a pair of wings suddenly spread out behind his back. The wings were pitch black. It was a pair of black wings that were about 2 feet long. This power. Lin Yu looked at his palm. At this moment, the black light was like smoke covering his entire body. In my current state, I can only hold on for 3 breaths. He immediately made a judgment. There was not much time left. Lin Yu's right hand casually chopped down in a direction. In an instant, the night of the demon beast forest seemed to be covered by an even deeper layer of darkness. And this darkness was fleeting. When Lin Yu exhaled, his black wings and the black aura around his body had already dissipated. His glory chi and 3 elements in one realm returned to normal. A sense of weakness came from his feet. It was as if the night just now had drained all his strength. However, Lin Yu looked at the direction he swung his arm. There, a bottomless crack started from his arm and connected to the edge of the demon beast forest. In the next moment, the earth trembled. Almost half of the demon beast forest began to break. Lin Yu immediately took a few steps forward and jumped away from the broken area. Turning around to look, the tide surged into the sky. Half of the demon beast forest was already submerged in the sea. One move cut the demon beast forest in half. This was a continent equivalent to Jixiao Library and Raging Fire Temple. It was even bigger than Cold Moon Palace's 9 mountains. This is the first time a human uses my race's power. It's actually so powerful. In the cave, Heiyu's voice sounded again. There was also shock in his tone. Obviously, even he did not expect Lin Yu to be able to unleash such terrifying power. This is the power of that era. The corner of Lin Yu's lips curled up. Unfortunately, he had used up all his energy in one move. Right now, he was sitting cross-legged. Large amounts of glorious bot were being refined by the true fire of the sun, turning into pure energy that entered his body and restored his condition. After doing all this, Lin Yu cupped his fists and left. To think that the humans of the future still remember the yin-yang realm's cultivation method and can even perfectly use the power of our race. Inside the cave, after the murmuring, everything returned to normal. Lin Yu realized that the current Yu could already support half of the demonic beast forest on his own. Thus, he took away the Nirvana Universe staff. After doing all this, an aura suddenly broke through the sky. If an ordinary person saw it, they might think that it was daybreak. However, only Lin Yu knew that the army of the Hellgate had arrived. He did not want to be drawn into a battle between law realms right now. Lin Yu shifted his body and left the sea. At the same time, he picked up a phoenix-tailed chicken that had fallen from the demonic beast forest. This chicken was a Samsara realm demon beast, but its combat strength was extremely low. Lin Yu felt that it was one of the few delicacies that had top-notch meat. After landing on the shore, Lin Yu set up a frame and took a few withered branches. Then, he activated the true fire of the sun and started a fire. With a sweep of his aura, the phoenix-tailed chicken immediately lost all its feathers and internal impurities. At the same time, the sky flickered. As the wind swept through the clouds, he saw a terrifying battle erupting in the direction of the demonic beast forest. Fortunately, Lin Yu was now thousands of feet away. Otherwise, he would have been affected. From the fluctuations of the battle, Lin Yu could tell that there were 3 Law Realm auras. Nu Ba and Chi Mei's auras. Looks like the 4 ghost generals should be here as well. Lin Yu roasted the phoenix-tailed chicken and looked at the surging sea. His heart was calm, but soon, the fluctuations of the battle gradually dissipated. This made Lin Yu feel that something was wrong. It shouldn't end so quickly. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged. Using the space-time divine movement technique, he instantly fell into the cave. Inside the cave, Heiyu's aura was chaotic. "You've disappointed me too much," Lin Yu said indifferently. He knew that Heiyu had lost. Outside the cave, Nu Ba's aura was the strongest. There were also Chi Mei and Wang Liang, who were slowly approaching. "You've sucked away too much of my power." Heiyu's helpless voice came. Only then did Lin Yu remember and smiled awkwardly. "Could it be that you gave me your power just now and it affected your combat strength? I didn't want to give you so much." Heiyu stopped talking. Lin Yu shrugged. It seemed that his potential was too great and he had absorbed too much of Heiyu's power. From the start, this fellow probably only wanted to give Lin Yu less than half of the power of night. "Ah, you're really stingy. Just a little bit of your power and you want to die? Fine, I'll help you." Lin Yu spread out his divine sense. Heiyu didn't reject him and fused together with Lin Yu. In an instant, Lin Yu's true body on the shore began to emit a black light. "I only have one breath of time." He clenched his teeth, and the wings behind him suddenly bloomed. At this time, outside the demon cave, Wang Liang was the first to approach. "Be careful." Chi Mei vigilantly stared at the demon cave. Chi Mei smiled in disdain. "He's already been defeated. The things in this mystic realm are nothing more than this." Beside him, a black-clothed middle-aged man also smiled. "Once Lady Nu Ba takes action, there is nothing in the star domain that can stop her mystic realm." But the moment their voices fell, in front of the demon cave, a black light covered the dawn sky. Within the cave, Lin Yu and Heiyu had fused together. Lin Yu's icy and strange voice sounded out. "Nightfall." The moment the words were spoken, the world seemed to close the window. The entire world was left with only darkness. But this darkness disappeared in an instant. Even for Nu Ba, she only opened her eyes when the darkness disappeared. However, she had already been excluded from the demonic beast forest. It was a woman with a cold expression. Her skin was frighteningly white and her eyes were blue. She didn't look like an ordinary human woman, especially Nu Ba's head, which had a head of white hair. She looked like a demon, but also a human. That was Nu Ba the Hellgate. But at this moment, even her eyes were a little blank. Nu Ba had a bad feeling. When she stepped into the demon beast forest again, all the trees had turned to ashes and there were no more sounds of demon beasts. Under that nightfall, it was as if the god of death had passed through. All life was extinguished. My lord, in front of Nu Ba, a middle-aged man with a broken arm crawled over. It was Chi, the leader of demons and monsters. But at this moment, his aura of the law realm was extremely unstable, and his expression was as dispirited as a mortal's. What happened? Nu Ba was shocked. From afar, she saw two figures again. They were Wang Liang and Wang Liang. But now, the two of them had been directly chopped off, turning into two corpses that couldn't be any more dead. She didn't see Chi Mei, but it wasn't difficult to guess that Chi Mei was most likely dead. Let's go. Nu Ba looked at the demon cave that had regained its calm. She helped Chi up, and without thinking about anything else, she stepped into the air and left. Chapter 2:23. I haven't found Mei yet. Nu Ba ignored Chi's words and stepped out of Jixia Library's starry sky. She was certain that the moment the darkness descended, the power exceeded her understanding. It was not a power she could touch, a power above the laws. At the edge of the coast, the moment Lin Yu opened his eyes, he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and took out a large amount of glory bot to recover. However, his injuries were too severe. He could not recover to his peak state in a short time. That power, I can't even withstand it for a moment. Lin Yu was not discouraged. Instead, his eyes were filled with desire and anticipation. But I'm very satisfied with this power. Although he could not keep Nu Ba, the two corpses of Wang Liang and Chi were enough for He Yu to digest them for a while. Lin Yu calmed his mind. The next moment, a slender figure suddenly flew out of the sea in front of him. His vision turned black as he was pressed down by the figure. You actually escaped here? Lin Yu saw the wet figure pressing down on him. It was Mei, who was ranked second among the 4 ghost generals. However, she was now unconscious on top of him. Interesting. To be able to escape from my black light. You're indeed a disciple favored by Xidagarba. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He wanted to kill all 4 ghost generals. However, it was too difficult for him to withstand He Yu's power, which allowed Mei and Chi to escape. Now, Mei had passed through the sea. She had probably used up her last bit of strength to reach the coast. Since you're not dead, I'll spare your life. Lin Yu pushed her away. What entered his eyes was Mei's exquisite appearance. This woman's beauty was comparable to Nu Ba. The so-called ghost generals were because their cultivation techniques came from the ghost sect, not because they were ghosts themselves. Therefore, Mei was still a woman, an extremely beautiful woman. Lin Yu did not have the strength to kill anyone now. He casually placed Mei aside and placed some restrictions on her. This place should be peaceful for now. Lin Yu estimated that it would take some time for the news of Hellgate's defeat and the matter of the outer region's secret realm to spread. He came to the bonfire. Dawn had just broken, and the first ray of light shone on the sea, reflecting the sparkling waves. Lin Yu tore off a drumstick and splashed the grease on the firewood. Sparks exploded like fireworks. Crackling sounds could be heard. Mei felt her eyelids grow heavy, but when she thought of the life and death crisis under the black light, she immediately jolted awake from her sleep. But what she saw in front of her was a youth gnawing on a drumstick. You're awake? Lin Yu turned around, grease dripping from the corner of his mouth. When Mei saw this scene, she could not help but gulp. You want to eat it? Lin Yu spoke again and handed over a drumstick. Mei suddenly felt her stomach rumbling with hunger. With her current realm, she did not need to eat anymore. But for some reason, Lin Yu's phoenix-tailed chicken seemed to have added special seasoning, which greatly increased her appetite. But when Mei wanted to reach out to take it, she saw the bite mark on the drumstick. "You've eaten." Mei turned her face away in disgust and looked around. "Where's this? You don't even know where you are?" Lin Yu took back the drumstick. Since she did not want to eat it, he would not keep it. Mei spread out her divine sense, wanting to wander the earth and figure out where she was. But before her divine sense could spread out a few feet, she felt a sharp pain in her head. "I advise you to take it easy. Your injuries won't heal so easily." Hearing this, Mei Jiao was stunned. "Who are you?" She took a closer look at Lin Yu and immediately took a few steps back. "It's you, the person in the demon cave. How did you recognize me?" Lin Yu ate the last piece of phoenix-tailed chicken and shrugged helplessly. At this moment, Mei was extremely wary of Lin Yu. Her divine sense was damaged, and her cultivation was almost completely sealed. How could she defeat the demon cave existence that she feared at her peak? "Are you really the thing in that mystic realm?" Mei asked again, her heart filled with shock. She had always thought that the existence in the cave could not leave. If not for that, she would not have been able to leave so easily during the battle between the princes. Yes and no. Lin Yu did not say much. "You don't need to know so much. You just need to know that your life is in my hands. What do you want to do? Nuba is already here." He. Lin Yu's laughter interrupted her. At this moment, Mei's heart tightened as she understood. Nuba lost too. If not for that, Nuba would not have allowed herself to be in trouble here, and Lin Yu would not be here, eating chicken. Nuba could not have lost. Impossible. Mei shook her head. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He felt that he could take advantage of the fact that the other party had not fully recovered her cultivation. Nuba is the god of the Ghost Gate. However, can the god of the Ghost Gate be ranked among the 7 great imperial gates? Lin Yu provoked the other party's heart and said, "The 4 great ghost generals, Qi, Mei, Wang, and Liang, have changed several generations. Unfortunately, each generation is worse than the last. This time, Wang Liang is dead, you are seriously injured, and Qi and Nuba have lost. The Ghost Gate was originally riddled with holes. After today's battle, I'm afraid that in the future, it will be even more difficult to walk on thin ice in the Imperial Gates." The more Mei listened, the more she felt that the other party was not simple. Especially when he said that Wang Liang was dead and Nuba had lost, she felt a chill down her spine. This sentence had broken all her beliefs. "You killed Wang Liang. You." Mei wanted to attack, but before she could use any strength, she felt intense pain spread throughout her body. She gritted her teeth and fell to the ground, curling up her petite body. Lin Yu picked up a handkerchief and wiped his mouth unhurriedly. Then, he walked in front of her and looked down. "You are useful to me. This is also the reason why you are not dead yet. Do you understand?" His voice was emotionless. When it reached Mei's ears, she felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave. But in the next moment, Lin Yu took out a large amount of glorious bot. After being tempered by the sun-true fire, he fused it into her lower abdomen. Mei gently pressed down and felt her body gradually warm up. The intense pain from her injuries also improved a lot at this moment. Lin Yu turned his back and looked into the distance. He could no longer see the demon beast forest in the sea fog. As the battle continued, and Lin Yu cut half of the demon beast in half at the beginning, Lin Yu also caused the entire sea to be covered in a thick fog. Lin Yu felt that this thick fog was the icing on the cake. It made the demon beast forest a little more mysterious. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back and said softly and calmly, "Killing Wang Liang is your punishment. Even if the people from the outer realms are weak, we will not allow you to use our people to sacrifice them." Chapter 224. He turned around and met Charm's gaze. The latter immediately understood, but the strong preys on the weak. That's the principle of this star zone. Charm retorted. She felt that she was not wrong. She did not care about sacrificing hundreds of people from the other regions to awaken a dangerous place that she had discovered but did not dare to explore further. Of course, there's nothing wrong with the strong preying on the weak. Lin Yu raised his hands. I don't talk reason when I eat chicken. Demons don't talk reason when they eat mortals. In this world, there are many things that don't need to be talked reason. As soon as he finished speaking, his 5 fingers formed a claw, and Nu Ba's drenched body was immediately sucked toward him. Lin Yu grabbed her neck with one hand and approached her. But I'm not talking reason with you. I'm only punishing the ghost sect, understand? If Li Yi and the others heard his words and looked at Lin Yu's attitude toward charm, Li Yi would definitely be so scared that his legs would go weak and he would not be able to stand steadily. Back then, Li Yi had received charm's orders. He did not even dare to resist and change the rules of the Battle of the Princes. He had also chosen to sacrifice some people from the other regions in exchange for not offending the sects of the Core Star zones. Li Yi's actions were not wrong. It was just that that was not Lin Yu's style. However, now, any one of the 4 ghost generals was the most powerful existence in the other regions. Now, they were either dead or injured under Lin Yu's schemes. One of them was right in front of Lin Yu, being toyed with like a toy. You're from the other regions, but when did such a powerful person appear in the other regions? Charm gritted her teeth and said. In the next moment, Lin Yu let go of her neck. Charm sat sideways on the ground as if she had just survived a disaster. What do you want me to do? Lin Yu's few words had already made this existence in the law realm understand her situation. She also feared him from the bottom of her heart. 2 things. First, I need to borrow your annihilation laws, Yu Futian said. How do you know about my law? Otherwise, I can't use my law now. Charm immediately retorted. Asking her to use her law's power now was no different from asking her to commit suicide. Don't worry, I know your body better than you do. I will help you heal along the way. Lin Yu continued. The second thing I want you to do is to help me spread the word about what happened here once you're free. May's pretty face immediately turned angry. What do you mean by you know my body better than me? No man had ever dared to talk to her like that. Charm secretly swore that Lin Yu would be the last. Next time, she was not willing to accept such humiliation. However, she also looked at Lin Yu in confusion. What do you mean by matters here? Lin Yu arched an eyebrow. In the Outer Realms Demon Cave, the supremacy of creation, the Wangliang died tragically, and Nu Ba fled in defeat. I want everyone in the Emperor's Gate to know these words in the future. That's impossible. Mei gritted her teeth, straightened her body, and retorted. She struggled to get up. If she could use her battle prowess now, she would definitely kill Lin Yu immediately. I can apologize to you about the Battle of the Princes, but I can't betray the Ghost Gate. Lin Yu naturally knew the loyalty of this second Ghost General. He said helplessly, when did I ask you to betray the Ghost Gate? If the other 6 great Emperor's Gates know that Nu Ba fled in defeat and the Wangliang died, our Ghost Gate, Lin Yu interrupted her. At that time, it will be even harder for the Ghost Gate to establish a foothold in the core star field, right? The world was so big that not only were there big fish eating small fish, but even big fish like the Emperor's Gate had to be wary of each other at all times. Since you know why? Because your life is in my hands. Do you think I care about your feelings? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Mei's face turned pale, and she closed her eyes. If that's the case, kill me now. Oh, Lin Yu pointed his finger. He wanted to scare her, but at the same time, he suddenly felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Just now, he had used Heiyu's power, but there was actually such a strong after effect. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, but Mei stared at him meaningfully, her eyes flickering. You're injured too? No, I ate too much chicken and got heaty. Lin Yu snorted coldly. In fact, he didn't plan to hide it. However, he knew that Mei already had the intention to kill him. Since Mei was clearly unwilling, Lin Yu also knew that he couldn't force her. However, perhaps giving her some hope could also achieve Lin Yu's goal. Have you thought about it? I agree. As expected, when Lin Yu asked again, Mei agreed without hesitation. However, Lin Yu smiled gently. How could he not see through her thoughts? If that's the case, accompany me to a place first. After saying that, Lin Yu took out the Nirvana Universe staff. Now, he didn't have enough strength to step into the air. Otherwise, if his injuries worsened, he might really be killed by May. May recognized it at first glance. Although the Nirvana Universe staff had shrunk countless times, it looked exactly the same as the staff that held up the entire Demon Beast Forest. The person in the Demon Cave is indeed you. As May thought to herself, the Universe staff had already taken the initiative to move to Lin Yu's feet, and Lin Yu sat comfortably on it. However, when she wanted to climb up, she didn't have the slightest bit of strength. Lin Yu no longer added insult to injury and stretched out his hand. However, May was stunned and hesitated for a long time. "What's wrong?" Lin Yu asked knowingly. He also knew that this woman had never let another man touch her, especially with her talent. She had already reached the Law Realm at such a young age. In the Emperor Gate Starfield, it would be difficult to find a man who could make her willing. However, at this moment, May could only grit her teeth and stretch out her hand. As soon as she stretched out her hand, it was immediately grabbed by Lin Yu's warm hand, and he pulled her onto the Nirvana Universe staff. The familiar smoothness. Lin Yu thought to himself. However, the staff suddenly shook, and May's entire body was powerless. Her entire body pressed down on Lin Yu. May pushed Lin Yu back with both hands and stared at him resentfully. At this moment, Lin Yu also had an innocent look on his face. "Are you too heavy?" The staff moved a little, causing the two of them to stick together. This really had nothing to do with him. Of course, Lin Yu's hand moved to the back and gently patted the universe staff to show his approval. The next moment, the staff flew through the air, causing May's body to lean forward again on Lin Yu's body. Lin Yu immediately pushed her away. "Don't touch me." May had an innocent look on her face. She was clearly the one who was taken advantage of, so why was this guy feeling wronged first? However, the Nirvana Universe staff had already left the sea and disappeared into the starry sky. Lin Yu knew that his current condition was not very good, so he did not choose to directly head to the destination through the hidden teleportation array. "Where are we going?" "To the Four Directions Starfield to do the first thing." As he spoke, he made May face him. "I'll heal you. Before we arrive, you have to use your law once. You're injured yourself. How are you going to heal me?" It's very easy for a man and a woman to heal. Hearing this, May's expression changed drastically. Chapter 225. You're from the evil path? Oh, only those from the evil path know how to use the matters between men and women to cultivate. Even if I die, I won't agree to it. Don't even think about it. Charm was already gritting her teeth towards Lin Yu. This person is too shameless. But in the next moment, Lin Yu's hands sucked, and Charm's hands were firmly grasped by him. "Only your hands are needed. Not even my hands." Charm wanted to resist, but Lin Yu was too lazy to explain. The yin-yang realm aura in his body circulated weakly. In the next moment, Charm gently pressed down. Two auras that were alternating between hot and cold had already merged into her body. "No, you don't know my cultivation technique. If you heal me like this, both of us will be injured." As soon as Charm finished speaking, Lin Yu's yin-yang aura cleared every blocked meridian in her body in an orderly manner. Moreover, this aura was extremely unique. It was as if it could naturally heal her injuries. In an instant, Charm only felt her entire body become comfortable. "How do you know my cultivation technique's circulation method?" Charm was astonished, but at the same time, a surge of power in her body was instinctively absorbed by Lin Yu. Lin Yu naturally wouldn't tell her that during the 100,000 years that he was trapped, he had a deep understanding of her. Don't ask too much. At this moment, he only felt that the parts of his body that were exploded by Heiyu's power were gradually recovering. Fusing the yin-yang realm and strengthening each other was the true essence of the yin-yang realm. From the looks of it, it was clear that this kind of cultivation, because May's cultivation was much stronger than his, would benefit Lin Yu even more. Time passed, and half a month had passed. Lin Yu's aura had also recovered by 90% during this time. Unfortunately, because his cultivation was too weak, Charm's cultivation had only recovered by less than 10%. The difference between a transcendent realm's aura and a law realm's aura was like heaven and earth. "You've always been in the transcendent realm?" Charm asked unwillingly. Now that Lin Yu was in the transcendent realm, what was going on with him in the demon cave? Moreover, why was Lin Yu so energetic while she was still weak? Yes and no, Lin Yu replied casually. However, to be precise, his cultivation should be called the yin-yang realm. This was a cultivation method in ancient times. It was the fusion realm of the invincible realm and the transcendent realm. In other words, Lin Yu would no longer have the invincible realm. Seeing that Lin Yu was unwilling to elaborate, Mei was even more confused. She felt that Lin Yu was exactly the same as the young man in the demon cave. However, there was a huge difference between their auras. The aura inside the demon cave was the demonic aura of an ancient great demon. However, the person in front of her was a human who was a little hooligan. "We're almost there," Lin Yu said indifferently. However, not long after he finished speaking, he heard a voice transmission from his storage ring. Lin Yu took out a wooden sound transmission token from his storage ring, which was given to him by Li Yi before he left. "Secmaster Lin, we have arrived at the low-key sex area. Everyone is currently safe." This was the first sentence. However, before Lin Yu kept it, the second sentence was transmitted. "I heard that there were no more battles in the Monster Beast Forest. Although I wanted to return, the Quasi-Emperor sect, Bodhi sect, held an advancement battle for low-level sects to advance to high-level sections. I have already registered for your low-key sect. This time, the Dose sect and the Flying Celestial sect from a northern star field will be competing with the low-key sect. At that time, the Emperor's sect and the 9 Luminaries Dragon Sealing City will also participate. With the low-key sect strength, it is enough to win this advancement battle." Lin Yu remembered that Li Yi had promised him. If he could settle female demons' matter, Li Yi would settle the future of the low-key sect for him. Although this old man is afraid of death, he is still trustworthy. Lin Yu smiled faintly. However, he also knew that Li Yi wanted to leave a good reputation after his death. Lin Yu thought about the time. With Mei around, he could go to the 4-star field to get something. "Forget it, I should be in time." But immediately after, Li Yi sent a third sentence. 3 days ago, the 8th Emperor sect appeared in the core area of the star field. Only half of the voice was transmitted, but Mei was already very interested and immediately came forward to eavesdrop. Clearly, she did not care about high-level sects, but Emperor-level sects had no choice but to care. The 8th Emperor sect is called the Heaven sect, and its sect master is known as Celestial Emperor Xiao. I heard that he came from the 4-star field. Lin Yu was very interested. This pirate of himself had actually established the 8th Emperor sect in such a short time. The condition for a quasi-emperor sect to advance to an emperor sect was to have at least one existence in the 3rd heaven of the law realm in the sect. Only by meeting the condition could one be recognized by the other emperor sects. Then wouldn't Lin Xiao's current combat strength have already reached the 3rd heaven of the law realm? 3rd heaven of the law realm. Too fast, too fast. Lin Yu's eyes were filled with excitement, and he could not help but laugh loudly. This is a decent opponent. Lin Xiao's existence gave Lin Yu even greater motivation. Not hearing Lin Xiao's news for a long time almost made Lin Yu feel a little bored. That's it. It was a pity that Lin Yu waited for a long time, but Li Yi did not send over another sentence. Clearly, he did not know much about the Heavenly Emperor sect either. Lin Yu had a sudden impulse, his speed suddenly increasing. Instantly, the universe extinction staff sank into a hidden array formation. When he appeared, he was already in the southern border of the 4-way star field. This is the 4-way star field. Mei surveyed the surrounding starry sky and looked at Lin Yu in surprise. "How'd you do it just now?" After getting along for a period of time, she instinctively became much closer to Lin Yu. After all, when a person was at their weakest, it would be easier to enter their heart if they met someone who helped them. This was a human instinct, but Lin Yu glanced at her straightforwardly. "This has nothing to do with you. In front of him was shockingly an incomparably huge tree. The surroundings of this tree were like a vast planet. At this moment, peach blossom petals were dancing all over the sky. It slowly descended. May looked at the magnificent scene and could not help but exclaim, "Although the glory aura here is much thinner than the Emperor Gate star field, such a magical peach blossom tree actually grew here. It doesn't belong here in the first place," Lin Yu said casually. With one step, he was already close to the Wind Moon tree. The Wind Moon clan had already left and should all be in the low-profile sect now. There was no one in the Wind Moon clan now. In fact, the current southern border star field was much more deserted. The Yao clan, Wind Moon clan, and Sword clan had more or less embarked on the road to the Emperor Gate star field. The remaining ones were merely elderly people who were guarding the place where they were born, or there were mortals who did not have the ability to cultivate. As for the younger generation like Xia Bing, Sword Maniac, Yuinga, and the like, they still yearned for a new world. Protect me. I want to comprehend something. Chapter 226. Lin Yu said to the charm. Then he sat down cross-legged in front of the romance tree. The tree was too big. Lin Yu was like an ant in front of a mountain. He was so small that he could barely be seen. The charm looked at him coldly and slowly approached. She wanted to know what Lin Yu was up to. At that moment, Lin Yu was motionless. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged in front of the romance tree. Then, the charm saw the peach blossoms falling even faster. Countless petals fell from the sky and floated above Lin Yu's head. They did not fall immediately. Is he comprehending a Dao technique? The charm guessed. However, the next moment, she saw a terrifying aura appear on the romance tree. The aura seemed to be repelling Lin Yu and the charm. At that moment, it was above their heads and suddenly suppressed them. Nomological laws, come out, Lin Yu ordered. Although the charm did not like being ordered by men, Lin Yu's words seemed to have an irrefutable certainty. This certainty made the charm grit her teeth, and a nomological law erupted from her body. You better not let my injuries recur. The charm's face immediately paled. Even though she had recuperated for more than half a month and recovered a little with the yin-yang realm, Hei Yu's strength was still too strong. Her injuries were much more serious than she had imagined. Destruction, nomological laws. At that moment, a 9-colored stream of light suddenly blasted against the romance tree's suppression. The suppression was about to take away the peach blossom petals above Lin Yu's head, but it was suddenly hit by the nomological laws. In an instant, the suppression dissipated. In that instant, Lin Yu formed hand seals with both hands and transformed into afterimages. Instantly, a blood curse appeared in his hands. What are you? The charm widened her eyes. This thing, it was her ghost sex supreme mystic art. Why do you know how to cast a blood curse? The charm immediately questioned. However, Lin Yu did not have time to care about her. He raised his hands and fused the blood curse into the romance tree's suppression the instant it retreated. The next moment, the peach blossom that had stopped above Lin Yu's head fell. Lin Yu formed hand seals with both hands again. At the same time, dozens of blood curses appeared in his hands. So fast, Mei jumped in fright. Not only did the young man in front of her know her Hellgate's secret technique, his casting speed was even faster than hers. Mei judged that even Nu Ba might not have such a fast speed. The dozens of blood curses attached themselves to the petals, and in the next moment, Lin Yu was completely surrounded by peach blossoms. Mei narrowed her eyes and retracted her nomological laws. She sat down cross-legged and began to recover from her injuries. However, after trying Lin Yu's yin-yang realm method, she wasn't very satisfied with her current slow speed. If she had Lin Yu to heal her, it would be a very comfortable thing. Damn it, he's my Hellgate's enemy. Why would I want to rely on him? Mei immediately cut off her thoughts. But at this moment, 2 auras crashed down. See Xiaoxian, you've been chasing me for 3 days, but this is not your Xian sex territory. Don't think that I don't dare to kill you. A young girl with a hot figure was standing under the Wind Moon tree. She was dressed in red, and half of her snow-white shoulder was exposed under the thin veil. She was sexy, but not seductive. She was already so seductive at such a young age. May's heart trembled. Although the other party's aura was not as strong as when she was at her peak, she was much stronger than she was now. And Lin Yu was in seclusion. May instinctively hid behind Lin Yu's peach blossom storm. "Come out quickly, someone's coming." As soon as May's voice fell, another voice came from the top of the wind moon tree. It was also a young girl. However, this girl was dressed much more obediently. She wore a long, light blue dress, and her makeup was much more elegant. "Yin Xiao Xiao, which of the demon sect of bliss? How dare you steal from my Xin sect? You won't be able to escape today." Si Xiaoxian stared coldly at the girl in red. "What a joke." Yin Xiao Xiao smiled disdainfully. "You and I are both at 300 Grand Supreme Realm. It's not certain who will win. However, I heard that you've been protected like a pearl in the palm of the Xin sect. You haven't even tasted a man. It's a pity that you're going to die here today. Ah, you perverted witch. If I don't kill you today, I'll be letting down my name, Si Xiaoxian." As soon as she finished speaking, Mei saw two Grand Supreme Realm auras collide. The shockwaves from the battle caused more peach blossoms to fall. They also indirectly merged into the storm that Lin Yu was in. Damn it, they'll find this place sooner or later. Mei cursed in her heart. If it were before, she would have been able to send those two girls flying with a slap. But now, she had to find a way to hide Lin Yu's aura. With a rumble, a girl suddenly fell. It was Si Xiaoxian. She had been defeated in one move. "Idiot, did you really think that I let you chase me all the way here because I'm afraid of you?" Yin Xiao Xiao raised her hands. Dozens of colorful brocades shot out from behind her and suddenly approached Si Xiaoxian. 350 Grand Supreme Realm auras gathered on the brocades. "You didn't expect this, did you? I have 37 more Grand Supreme Realm auras than you." Yin Xiao Xiao's words were law. The brocades had already appeared within 3 feet of Si Xiaoxian. The latter subconsciously retreated and hid behind the peach blossom storm at the same time. Mei gritted her teeth when she saw this. "Stop! Why is there someone here?" Si Xiaoxian's beautiful eyes focused. She did not want to hurt the innocent, so she forcibly circulated her cultivation to block the 350 Grand Supreme Realm auras. Rumble. The storm swept over. Si Xiaoxian took a few steps back. There was already blood at the corner of her mouth. On the other side, Yin Xiao Xiao narrowed her eyes slightly. "Could it be that you have a helper?" Then, her combat strength erupted again. "Then I'll take care of them together." The brocades tore through the air and blasted the peach blossom storm. However, at the same time, Mei appeared in front of the storm. "How dare you?" She clenched her teeth and pointed a finger. In an instant, a terrifying power of law appeared at her fingertip. The law. Yin Xiao Xiao immediately sensed a life-threatening crisis. Her golden body instantly appeared in the air and blocked in front of her. She looked flustered, and her pretty face was much paler. She did not expect to encounter a law realm expert here. Even Si Xiaoxian, who was also beside Mei, was stunned. At that moment, she only felt that all her Grand Supreme Realm auras were suppressed by the law that had yet to fully appear. This was the power of law, which completely surpassed the Grand Supreme Realm auras. However, in the next moment, Mei suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood. Not only did the power of law not fully attack, but part of it also backfired on her injuries. Oh no, Mei had underestimated her injuries. In addition, she had already used the power of law once before to forcefully repel the wind-moon tree suppression. Now, her expression immediately became dispirited. "So she's injured?" Yin Xiao Xiao and Si Xiaoxian thought at the same time, especially Yin Xiao Xiao, who saw Mei's weakness. At the critical moment, she immediately appeared in front of Mei and struck out with her palm. Chapter 227. With Charm's current combat strength, even Lin Yu wasn't confident of defeating her. How could she be Yin Xiao Xiao's opponent? With a bang, her entire body flew out and crashed into the peach blossom storm. At the same time, the storm dissipated. Lin Yu opened his eyes, and his figure appeared from the peach blossom. He held on to Charm's waist. "You're done." "Yeah." Lin Yu nodded. "A little more." After speaking, Charm felt a warm aura spreading throughout her body from her abdomen. The injuries in her body recovered by 20%. It was more effective than half a month of healing. "What's this?" Charm asked in surprise. "The Tao technique passed down by the Wind Moon Grand Sage." Lin Yu touched his chin. "I call it the Bodhi Heavenly Incantation." Bodhi, Yin Xiao stared at Lin Yu. "You're from the Bodhi sect?" "Bodhi sect is nothing." Lin Yu smiled faintly and let Charm heal by the side. He took a step forward and appeared between Si Xiaoxian and Yin Xiao. "Girl from the Demon Floating Life sect, you injure my people. Shouldn't you leave something behind?" "How do you know me?" Yin Xiao smiled in disdain. "Leave something behind? Are all the men in the Bodhi sect so arrogant? I've been in the inner region for so many years, and no man has the ability to keep me here." She sensed Lin Yu's aura. He was only in the transcendent realm. But the moment her words fell, her vision became blurry. Lin Yu's figure disappeared in front of her. When he reappeared, he was already on her right. "Arrogant? Try taking a punch from me." Lin Yu smiled faintly, and his yin-yang realm aura erupted. When he punched, Yin Xiao's expression changed drastically. A golden body that was identical to her blocked in front of her. At the same time, Lin Yu's Buddha body soared into the sky. He gathered the 6 suns and transcended the 3 elements in one realm. When he punched, the starry sky in front of the wind moon tree distorted. Boom! Cracking sounds could be heard as the space shattered. Yin Xiao clenched her teeth tightly. She never thought that she, a grand exalt realm, would actually be able to block the punch of a transcendent realm's 6 suns realm expert. It was actually so strenuous. She panted heavily, and the golden body behind her became unstable. "Now, are you overestimating yourself, or am I?" Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, but Yin Xiao's gaze was fixed on his golden body. There were a total of 3 Grand Supreme Stage auras converging on the golden figure, but these auras did not seem to come from Lin Yu. This is a borrowed, golden body. Yin Xiao was obviously unwilling to give up. However, Lin Yu had no reason to hide it. "I did borrow it, but it's enough to beat you up." Lin Yu could now fully unleash the golden body of the 3 sovereigns' great Taos. "You think a transcendent realm expert can defeat me with just a borrowed golden body?" Yin Xiao was not angry. Instead, she found it interesting. "What's your name?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. He understood this demoness of the demon floating life sect. This woman liked to be taught a lesson. She was amenable to force, but not persuasion. Hence, Lin Yu used force from the start. "My name." Lin Yu touched his chin. "I'll go to the demon floating life sect to find trouble with you in the future. You'll know by then." "All right." Yin Xiao's beautiful eyes seemed to be able to speak. They immediately curved into a crescent shape. "Then, remember to come." After speaking, she glanced at Si Xiaoxian, who was beside Lin Yu. "You lost today. Don't provoke me again. Otherwise, She sized up Si Xiaoxian. "Forget it. You're not fun at all." Yin Xiao's gaze still fell on Lin Yu. "You're more fun." Lin Yu shrugged helplessly. It seemed that he didn't need to deliberately look for the women who were trapped for 100,000 years. They would appear in front of him one by one. He couldn't hide. Lin Yu felt a little sad in his heart. Sometimes, knowing too many women was also a very troublesome thing. Yin Xiao stepped into the air and left. Peace seemed to be restored in front of the romance tree. Lin Yu turned to look at Si Xiaoxian. "Why? You're not leaving?" "I'll leave later." Si Xiaoxian looked at the direction where Yin Xiao left. "Are you afraid that she will turn back and ambush you?" Lin Yu sized up Si Xiaoxian. "It seems that you're injured. I have to be careful of the demon floating life sex demoness." Si Xiaoxian looked at Lin Yu warily. "Your eyesight and battle strength are top-notch, but I've never heard of someone like you in the Bodhi sect. Instead, I've heard of that second-generation Zhang Lin Yu more often." The Bodhi sect was the one that Li Yi had mentioned in his voice transmission. It was a quasi-emperor sect from the inner domain that presided over the promotion of low-level sects to high-level sects this time. When Si Shaoxian and Yin Xiaoxiao heard that Lin Yu had comprehended the Bodhi heavenly incantation, they subconsciously thought that Lin Yu was from the Bodhi sect. The Bodhi sect may not accept me. Lin Yu raised his hands. He had also entered the Bodhi sect to play and knew many of its secrets. He could tell that most of them were things that didn't see the light of day. I may not accept it either. What do you mean? Si Shaoxian narrowed her eyes. You're not from the Bodhi sect, but you're definitely not from the demon cult of bliss or my Xin sect. Then could it be that you're from the core? Si Shaoxian immediately cupped her fists. Xin sect Si Shaoxian greets the core senior. Lin Yu's face twitched. Girl, your imagination is too rich. I'm not from the core, but... He glanced at Mei again. This guy was from the core. Sigh, it's hard to explain. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly. Yin Xiaoxiao is not the kind of person you imagine. Don't worry and leave. Why do you seem to know her so well? Si Shaoxian looked at Lin Yu suspiciously. Forget it. None of you men can resist Yin Xiaoxiao's coquettishness. She's really not the kind of person you imagine. Lin Yu couldn't be bothered to explain further for Yin Xiaoxiao. If he told Si Shaoxian that Yin Xiaoxiao was still a virgin, wouldn't he have to explain for a long time? Men are all like this. I've heard Father say this before, but you've helped me today. If you have any trouble in the future, come to the Xin sect to find me. Si Shaoxian cupped her fists and smiled. Si Shaoxian will always return the favor. Goodbye. She thought that if she didn't leave now, wouldn't people think that she was even more afraid of Yin Xiaoxiao? After Si Shaoxian left, Lin Yu touched his forehead. They're finally gone. Did you let them go on purpose? Mei had already recovered her strength, but she was alone at the side just now, thinking about whether she could take down Lin Yu now that she had recovered from her injuries. This was the reason why she agreed to come with Lin Yu. However, Mei was still asking herself why she had forcefully saved Lin Yu and got injured. Was it because she was worried that she would be affected after Lin Yu was seriously injured by Yin Xiaoxiao? Or was she just trying to protect him? Chapter 228. Impossible. Charm immediately cut off this thought. Lin Yu was Hellgate's enemy. What are you thinking about? Lin Yu's voice rang out, breaking Charm's train of thought. Nothing. She turned her face away, afraid that Lin Yu would notice something. You've already done the first thing. As for the second thing, Lin Yu thought about it. It was really difficult for this woman to betray Hellgate. In his memory, even when he was trapped for 100,000 years, after he had tricked her into bed and had his fun, he had tried to get her to betray Hellgate. At that time, Lin Yu only thought that it was fun, but it always ended in failure. We'll talk about the second thing if we're fated. You can leave now. Lin Yu suddenly sent Charm away. This action made Charm not know how to react for a moment. You let me go just like that? Yes, you're no longer of any use. Lin Yu spoke again. Although his tone was very cold and realistic, it did make Charm feel a trace of warmth. After all, Lin Yu was a man of his word. This kind of character still made Mei sincerely admire him. In this world of constant fighting, it was impossible to capture a law realm expert without getting some substantial benefits. However, Lin Yu really only asked her to do a small favor, then I'll take my leave. Charm took a deep breath and sized up Lin Yu. She originally wanted to test her current strength and see if she could take down Lin Yu. However, after seeing Lin Yu's combat strength against Yin Xiaoxiao, Charm immediately gave up on this idea. She would need at least another month of recuperation before she could recover 30% of her power. At that time, she would have the confidence to take down Lin Yu. Lin Yu casually grunted and ignored her. However, Charm was a little embarrassed. She turned around and took a few steps. Her eyes flashed, and she immediately exclaimed. Then, Lin Yu saw Charm faint. What the hell? Lin Yu's face was filled with black lines, but Mei's eyes were closed, allowing herself to fall in front of the romance tree. I can only use this method to stay for another month. As long as I stay for another month, I will be able to avenge Wang Liang. Mei clenched her fists tightly. But even after a long time, Lin Yu did not appear. Then, with a loud bang, she crashed into the ground, creating a small crater. "It hurts." Mei touched her butt and looked up, wondering where Lin Yu had gone. It was impossible for him not to notice that she had fainted. What is he doing? Soon, Mei saw Lin Yu holding the Annihilation Universe staff and muttering to himself in front of the giant romance tree. He would rather talk to a tree. Wasn't he a pervert? Why is there no reaction now? But in the next moment, Mei's eyes widened as the ground beneath her began to quake. In front of Lin Yu, the wind moon tree shrank at a discernible rate. Flower petals, branches. It continued to merge into the annihilating heaven and earth staff. In just a short while, the entire romance tree had vanished without a trace. Only then did Lin Yu land. He seemed to be observing the huge crater where the romance tree had disappeared. Then, Lin Yu nodded. "I've dug it clean. Time to call it a day." Wait. Mei saw that Lin Yu was about to leave and immediately called out to him. But Lin Yu ignored her and stepped into the air to leave. Be asterisk starred. Mei cursed. She had never met such a straightforward man in her life. She gritted her teeth and disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already beside Lin Yu. "You can't see me. Can you cough?" Before Mei could finish, her injuries flared up again, and she almost coughed up blood. She had used her movement technique in exasperation just now. Clearly, Lin Yu had angered her to the point that she was angry. "Yes, I can see you." Lin Yu did not stop. "Little Mei, I just don't want to give you a chance to seek revenge." "What little Mei?" That sounds awful. Mei did not expect Lin Yu to see through her with his first sentence. But she still forced herself to ask, "Are you afraid?" Lin Yu nodded. "I'm afraid that I'll accidentally kill you." How arrogant. She was furious, but there was nothing she could do to Lin Yu. She was a woman. If she continued to follow him, she would have no respect at all. But Lin Yu took out the Nirvana Universe staff. "Forget it. Since you don't want to leave, come on up." He beckoned to Mei. She was stunned. The plot had changed too quickly. She gritted her teeth. She knew that if she did not give in this time and left, with Lin Yu's ability to appear in the four-way galaxy in an instant, she might not be able to find him again in this lifetime. At that thought, Mei stepped on him with a red face. "So where are we going next?" Mei immediately changed the topic. But Lin Yu still felt that he should try peaceful means before resorting to force. "If you decide to follow me, you have to listen to me all the way. Do you understand, little Mei?" His commanding tone made Mei grit her teeth again. She had never suffered such a grievance in her life. But she knew that she could not leave. "I understand." Finally, she nodded. Lin Yu smiled in satisfaction and answered her first question. "We're going to the Realm Gate. My sect wants to be promoted to a high-level sect. The promotion battle will be held there. You're from a low-level sect?" Mei looked at him in surprise. "With your abilities, you definitely don't look like one." This was her heartfelt words. Lin Yu was able to deal with her, Yin Xiao Xiao and Si Xiao Xian, who were from Boundary Emperor-level sects, with ease. At first, Mei thought that he was someone carefully nurtured by an Emperor's sect. The Nirvana Universe staff sank into the array. When Lin Yu and Mei opened their eyes again, they were already in front of the Realm Gate. This was the second time Mei had seen such an ability to teleport. Especially the distance between the Realm Gate and the Four Directions star domain. Even if she was at her peak, she would need some time to reach it. However, Lin Yu had not entered the array and only used the blink of an eye to get out. "How did you do it?" Mei asked in a daze. However, Lin Yu clearly had no intention of answering her. Instead, he stepped down from the sky. After putting away the extinguishing heaven and earth staff, the two of them were now standing before a huge door. This gate stood tall in the starry sky. This was also the inner edge of the outer region. If they entered further, which was the other end of the gate, they would arrive at the inner region's boundary Emperor-level sections. At this moment, Lin Yu and Mei entered quietly. They did not attract anyone's attention and entered the crowd. There were too many people here today. In front of the Realm Gate was a huge open space. On both sides of the open space was a huge pair of hands that were spread open. From afar, These hands seemed to be supporting the entire boundless realm gate. I heard that the Boundary Emperor-level Bodhi sect has personally come to confer titles this time. Yes, ever since the Raging Fire Temple declined, one of the 4 high-level sects has disappeared. There should be a new sect. A total of 3 sects have signed up this time. I think the most promising one is the low-key sect. As soon as that person finished speaking, a middle-aged man immediately appeared in the crowd and blocked his way. Chapter 229. The man looked ferocious as he slapped the person who was optimistic about low-key sect in the face. The powerful palm force whizzed past. How could that person withstand it? He flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lung Shan, that person stammered. When he saw the middle-aged man's appearance, he was immediately shocked and knelt down. I was wrong. He kept begging for mercy. The middle-aged man looked down at him coldly. The one who will advance this time is my flying celestial sect. Remember that. Yes. That person shrank back and immediately ran away. The surrounding people didn't dare to say another word. Brother Lung, there's no need to be angry. These blind people just heard a few words about low-key sect and deified it. They said that it was the peak when it was established and that it was unstoppable when it destroyed the high-level Raging Fire Temple. Behind Lung Shan, a short man chuckled. I heard that Raging Fire Temple suffered heavy casualties in the Prince's battle, which gave low-key sect a chance. Sigh. If Brother Lung hadn't gone into seclusion to cultivate some time ago, and we didn't go to the Prince's battle, Brother Lung would have been the prince this time. What low-key sect? What Linyu? How could they have a chance to be in the limelight? Lung Shan smiled faintly. Junior brother Kueisho, you flatter me. However, we are determined to win this time. We will not allow anyone to mislead us and destroy our flying celestial sect morale. He looked around warningly. No one dared to meet his gaze. The low-key sect he mentioned, is it your sect? In a remote corner, Charm whispered into Lin Yu's ear. The latter nodded. Then why don't you teach him a lesson? None of these people are your match. Charm said tentatively. You want me to attack, so that you can study my weakness? Lin Yu glanced at her. Don't try to do that in front of me. You're not qualified. His tone was calm, but Charm sensed a coldness in it. She was a few years older than Lin Yu, but in terms of scheming, she felt that she was far inferior to him. However, in the next moment, she heard many strange voices. Place your bets. Place your bets. I bet 10,000 on Do Zone. You poor bastard, I bet 100,000 that the Flying Celestial sect will win. Lin Yu's interest was suddenly piqued. He pulled Mei and squeezed in. In front of them was a rather large gambling house. Inside, there was an endless stream of people. Lin Yu even saw the cold mountain from before. I'll buy it for 10 million. Lung Shan placed his hand on the table with the words Flying Immortal Sect written on it. What are you betting on? Lin Yu came in. Are you blind? Can't you read the words on it? Someone at the side immediately mocked. The boss of the gambling house smiled. He could tell that the charm beside Lin Yu was extremely beautiful. In this world, to be able to obtain such a beauty, or to be able to keep such a beauty, it could only mean that this young man in front of him was also extraordinary. Haha, young master, this is a bet on who will emerge victorious in this advancement battle. What do you mean by winning? Lin Yu frowned. Seeing this, Lung Shan said angrily, Are you an idiot? Can I just ask? Lin Yu felt a little wronged. He glanced at Mei and said, Why are these people so fierce? Then kill them all. Let's do it. Mei immediately egged him on. Yo, little girl, you're quite arrogant. Kueisho heard Mei's words and was about to teach her a lesson. However, Lung Shan stopped him. Wait, I didn't expect there to be such a beautiful girl in the Outlands other than Qing Qing and Tang Xin. Who are you Outlands people? Mei said angrily. But in the eyes of these people, how could they still listen to her words? All the men's gazes were sizing up her hot body and fair complexion. How dare you? She clenched her fists. Little Mei, shall we kill them all? Lin Yu's interest was piqued as well, and he instigated. Mei immediately suppressed her anger. No, I'll endure it. However, she really couldn't endure it and came up with an idea. In the next moment, her curvy body pressed against Lin Yu. Her little mouth was close to Lin Yu, and she said in a coquettish voice, "Hubby, they're bullying me." When this scene fell into the eyes of others, many men with weak willpower immediately raised their heads secretly. If it were an ordinary man, he would probably be numb and at the mercy of this woman. Fortunately, Lin Yu only felt extremely embarrassed. Was this woman putting him on the stage? Bully you? Looks like someone wants to be bullied. Hee, your hubby is a wimp. He doesn't have the guts to offend us. Kuei Shou and Lung Shan said one after another. Mei saw Lin Yu's expression and only felt happy. She only needed to stay by Lin Yu's side, and everyone's spearhead was pointed at her at this moment. Is this the benefit of being a little girl? Mei whispered softly in Lin Yu's ear. This scene once again caused an uproar in the crowd. Upon seeing this, Lin Yu rubbed his eyebrows and glanced at Kuei Shou and Lung Shan. All right, if you want to fight, then come at me. Kid, you're quite arrogant. Kuei Shou rolled up his sleeves and instantly punched towards Lin Yu's position. His aura was also transcendent, but he was at the Nine Suns transcendent realm. Therefore, Kuei Shou believed that Lin Yu wasn't his opponent. However, Lin Yu didn't even move, allowing Kuei Shou's fist to come at him. Before the fist force could even get within 3 feet of Lin Yu and Mei, a wall of air rose from the ground and blocked the fist force directly. With a bang, the fist blasted onto the air wall. Die for me. Kuei Shou thought that he could crush Lin Yu, and his Nine Suns transcendent realm aura erupted. However, in the next moment, he was shocked to find that Lin Yu was still as calm as ever. Immediately after, his yang aura was instantly suppressed by Lin Yu's yin and yang aura. What? Kuei Shou sensed that something was amiss. His opponent wasn't as simple as he thought. He wanted to withdraw his hand, but on the air wall, a black flame instantly spread to his right arm. Since you made a move, you have to pay the price. Lin Yu's cold voice sounded. In the next moment, Kuei Shou felt a sharp pain in his head. His actions were too late. In that short moment, the true sun fire had already started burning. Kuei Shou immediately clenched his second fist. However, in the next moment, a cold aura suddenly invaded the air wall again. His other arm turned into an ice sculpture in an instant. No, I was wrong. Under the yin and yang great Tao, both of Kuei Shou's arms broke at the same time. Blood splattered everywhere. The entire place was silent. Only Kuei Shou's cries of pain could be heard. Just by relying on the glory chi wall, he didn't even move. This kid is so powerful. Everyone started to take Lin Yu seriously. Senior brother, you have to avenge senior brother K. Damn it. How dare you touch someone from the flying celestial sect? Lung Shan took a step forward. In fact, he was already frightened by Lin Yu's move. However, he was the leader of this group. Since Kuei Shou's arms were broken by Lin Yu, he naturally had to bite the bullet. Immediately, cold aura spread out from Lung Shan's arms. Both his arms immediately turned into ice. He was about to attack Lin Yu. Chapter 230. Gentlemen, gambling houses are places to make money. Why don't you give me, Su Hongyi, some face, and let's call it quits. The owner of the gambling house was a graceful young woman. At this moment, she was smiling at Lung Shan in a seductive manner. Her intention was clear. By holding Lung Shan down, she was preventing the next step of destruction. Fine. Lung Shan put down his hand without hesitation. Take this useless thing back. He yelled at the flying celestial sect's followers behind him. They immediately stepped forward and carried Kuei Shou out of the gambling house. He should be back to the flying celestial sect for treatment. Kid, you're lucky today. Boss Su is here to mediate. I won't argue with you. Lung Shan snorted. Everyone laughed inwardly after hearing that. Everyone could see that he was pleased. Otherwise, how could Lung Shan let Lin Yu go so easily? Of course, not only did Su Hongyi see through it, but she also gave Lung Shan a way out. Since I've disturbed Boss Su's business, I'll bet another 90 million. The flying celestial sect wins. With that, he swiped his storage ring again. A seven-colored ray of light shot into the stone table with the words Flying Celestial Sect written on it. A display immediately appeared on the stone table. Flying Celestial Sect, Lung Shan, bet 100 million glory bot on the Flying Celestial Sect. Lung Shan smiled faintly. This was his way of repaying Su Hongyi for helping him. However, he didn't think he would lose the bet. The Flying Celestial Sect is indeed wealthy. Lung Shan is the son of the Flying Celestial Sect's Grand Elder. He must have countless resources. This is nothing to him. Hearing the flattery around him, Lung Shan felt that he had saved some face. He smiled and still wouldn't let Lin Yu go. It's your turn. Don't tell me you don't have money in the gambling house. Mei giggled and glanced at Lin Yu. My husband is the richest man in the outer realm. How could he not have some glory bot? The crowd immediately booed when they heard that. She's bragging too much, isn't she? I've seen her husband sweet-talk this beauty all the time. I can't believe she actually believed it. That's why it's better for men to know how to sweet-talk. When Lin Yu heard this, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. You're too immersed in your role. Isn't this to give you face? Mei looked at Lin Yu with a teasing smile, but she was actually complaining in her heart. Kuei Shou didn't even have the strength to force Lin Yu to make a move. Just now, she couldn't see through Lin Yu's flaws at all, because he hadn't done anything at all. Kid, I'm talking to you. When Lung Shan saw that Lin Yu was ignoring him, he could not help but feel angry. But when Lin Yu glanced over, his hair instantly stood on end. This kid was younger than him, but how could his gaze be so terrifying? In the next moment, Lin Yu smiled faintly and walked to the betting table. Then I'll play too. He glanced at the odds. No matter who wins, the odds are 1-1. Lin Yu's lips curled up, and his gaze fell on Su Hongyi. Boss Ninru really knows how to do business. No matter which sect wins, you won't lose money. What Ninru? Are you mistaken? That's Boss Su. Lung Shan kept finding fault with Lin Yu. But only Su Hongyi's heart tightened at this moment. Ninru. She hadn't heard of this surname in a long time. She looked at Lin Yu with a serious expression. My surname is Su. Young master. If there's anything else, can we talk about it in private? Lin Yu understood what she meant and shrugged. All right. How many bets are there on your table? Su Hongyi was stunned. About 300 million. Then let's bet 3 billion. Lin Yu smiled faintly. When his voice fell, it immediately caused an uproar. 3 billion? Is he crazy? Is it really like what his woman said, that this kid is the richest person in the outer region? I think he's young and impetuous. He's probably bragging without thinking. Even Lung Shan and Su Hongyi were shocked. But just as Lung Shan was about to mock Lin Yu for bragging, he saw a stream of light flash from his storage ring. At the same time, he wrote down his name. Lin Yu, low-profile sect, 3 billion. It's really 3 billion. Lin Yu, he's Lin Yu. This name immediately caused an uproar in the gambling house again. The most famous thing in the outer region was the destruction of the Raging Fire Temple by the newly established low-profile sect. And the most famous person in this matter was naturally Lin Yu, who was known for his low profile. So it's Sect Master Lin's Holy Chariot gambling house. Su Hongyi didn't welcome you. Su Hongyi immediately stepped forward and bowed. However, the people from the Flying Celestial Sect were even more dumbfounded. They had been suppressing those who supported the low-profile sect and the fighting sect. Who would have thought that they would meet the leader of the low-profile sect here? It's fine, but Mr. Su, you can accept a bet of 3 billion. Lin Yu smiled faintly and turned to leave. Charm also followed him. Only Su Hongyi was left behind, stunned on the spot. She suddenly realized that Lin Yu's reminder was hinting that she shouldn't smooth things over for the Flying Celestial Sect. If Lin Yu won, wouldn't she have to pay him 3 billion? This was Lin Yu's punishment for her. However, Lin Yu dared to pay 3 billion as a punishment. This courage was enough to shock Su Hongyi. He can't win. Su Hongyi clenched her teeth and looked at Lin Yu's back as he left. This young man is too domineering. Mr. Su, don't worry. The low-profile sect can't win. The Flying Celestial Sect has 3 elders. Lung Shan continued. I need some peace and quiet. Su Hongyi interrupted him. Compared to Lin Yu, This person's courage was too weak. She could not help but worry. How could such a person compare to the low-profile sect? As Lin Yu left, many people also headed in the same direction. However, even if the two of them were recognized, they immediately disappeared into the sea of people. What disappeared with them was the commotion caused by Lin Yu and Charm. Is the advancement battle about to begin? Lin Yu held Charm's hand as they followed beside him. Although she was a little shy, she seemed to have let go of her grudge against Lin Yu because of the act earlier. She asked again. Lin Yu looked up. Charm followed his gaze and saw the world-crossing gate creaking. A crack appeared in the huge gate from the middle. But even if it was just a small crack at a close distance, it could accommodate the entire Jixia Book Pavilion Island. At this moment, a black that was gradually approaching through the crack. The people from the Quasi-Emperor's sects are here. Quick, let's go take a look. I'd like to see how they're different from us. Why can they live in the inner zone while we can only live in the outer zone? Lin Yu entered the crowd as well. Along the way, he saw many low-level sections. They were clearly here to join in the fun. The most important ones were the low-profile sect, the fighting sect, and the flying celestial sect. Chapter 231. At this moment, everyone was gathered in front of the crossing gate, which was at least 1,000 feet wide. Soon, powerful auras appeared one after another in 3 different directions of the open space. The first aura belonged to Do Zong's group that Lin Yu was familiar with. In addition to Ho Ji, the fat boy, and Qing Chao Lu, there were many other faces who participated in the Battle of the Princes. But, judging from their positions, these people were not here to fight. In front of them, there was an old man with sharp eyes and sharp eyebrows who was staring in the direction of the crossing gate. The black spots on it were getting bigger and bigger. Lung Shan and Kuei Shou were also in front of the Dozong group. There were also 3 old men in front of them. However, these 3 people were like Lung Shan. Even though they were old, their faces did not give off the slightest feeling of kindness. The 3 of them were staring fiercely in one direction. It was the direction of Lin Yu's sect, the low-key sect. At this moment, Yang Kai and Qin Wenyan were at the head of the group. On both sides were Qin Ji and Dongwang Feiyu. Xiang Ge was also standing next to Dongwang Feiyu, listening to her obediently. Master, is this Bodhi sect the one that demoted Hanyu Palace to a low-level sect? Xiang Ge asked Dongwang Feiyu sadly. At that time, my cultivation had dropped by 300 Dao rays, but Dongwang Feiyu hesitated for a moment. I have never shown my cultivation to the outside world, and I have always wondered how the Bodhi sect knew about it. Maybe a quasi-emperor sect has placed many spies in the outer territory. Unfortunately, Hanyu Palace will be a low-level sect for a long time. Xiang Ge understood what she meant. Master is magnanimous and does not want to compete with our low-key sect this time. Dongwang Feiyu glanced at her. Don't talk nonsense. You and I are both elders of the low-key sect. If the low-key sect can be promoted to a high-level sect, it will break the record of the fastest sect to become a high-level sect from a low-level sect in the outer territory. For you and me, it will be a glorious thing. After Dongwang Feiyu finished speaking, Xiang Ge grinned. I think Master is very optimistic about Sect Master, right? Not only do I think highly of him, I believe that he can bring glory to low-key sect. Dongwang Feiyu said helplessly, although the sect is called the low-key sect, he is not low-key at all. Xiang Ge thought of Lin Yu. That bad guy. Wherever he goes, there's light everywhere. It would be strange if he kept a low profile. Their voices were not loud, and not many people could hear them. As for Lin Yu, his complexion was not good right now. This was because this woman, Mei, had been nagging beside him. In particular, Lin Yu suddenly remembered that she could read lips, so he asked her about it. Since then, she had been repeating the conversation between Yao Gu and Dongwang Feiyu to him. Actually, I understand. You don't have to keep telling me. Lin Yu covered her mouth with one hand. Little Mimi, if you keep talking nonsense like this, I'll kill you. Do you understand? He warned Charm, but the latter only felt that it would be too awkward if she didn't do anything while following Lin Yu. In order to alleviate this awkwardness, She had been looking for topics to chat with Lin Yu, but she didn't expect that now she would be caught in Lin Yu's arms and unable to move. Let go, cover, let go. Only then did Lin Yu let go of his hand. How could he not know the nature of this woman? She was in a high position in the ghost sect, but she had been restrained for too long. Once she met someone she could chat with, she would keep bothering them. She looked cold, but in fact, she was very talkative. This was also the reason why Lin Yu wanted to leave her behind as soon as he got the romance tree. But later, when he saw that Charm pretended to faint and followed him, his heart softened. Sure enough, men can't be soft-hearted. Lin Yu thought to himself, but Charm continued. Did you do something bad to Xiangge? Why does she seem to like you very much? Shut up. Lin Yu looked up at the sky. There, Li Yi, Xiao Mo, and Shin Suyi of the Emperor sect were all standing in the air. This time, everyone saw the black dot clearly. It was a bird that looked like a red-crowned crane. Its wings were wide open, and as it flapped, it gradually appeared in the air, above everyone. Welcome, Bodhi's sect. Xiao Mo and the other two bowed at the same time. On the red-crowned crane, there was a woman and a man. There was no one else. The man was in his early 20s, and his aura was very strong. He had already reached 700 Dao paths of the Grand Supreme stage. The woman was a middle-aged woman who looked like a young woman. She looked dignified, but there was a domineering and cold air between her brows. So, Madame Bodhi is here this time. Li smiled faintly and bowed again. He glanced at the man in his 20s and immediately smiled. This must be the most outstanding young master in the inner region, young Master Zhang Lingyi. Zhang Lingyi smiled disdainfully. This young master usually doesn't walk around in this remote and desolate place. Someone from the outer region actually knows me? Li Yi was also used to being looked down upon. There was no trace of dissatisfaction on his old face. Xiao Mo and Shin Suyi, on the other hand, didn't look too happy. Clearly, Li Yi was more tactful when it came to these matters. Young Master Zhang, you have an imposing appearance and a powerful cultivation. This old man really can't think of anyone in the inner region other than the only son of the Bodhi sect master, young Master Zhang Lingyi, who has such strong talent and temperament. Li Yi continued to flatter Zhang Lingyi. After Zhang Lingyi heard this, he could only smile. It was obvious that he was still too young and inexperienced for an expert of this level. Is everyone here? Madame Bodhi ignored Li Yi's nonsense. The latter immediately nodded. Madame Bodhi, everyone is here. There are a total of 3 sects participating in the advancement competition. They're the Flying Celestial sect, the Doe sect, and the Subtle sect. Then let's begin. Madame Bodhi's gaze swept across the crowd and landed on the 3 sections, especially Zhang Lingyi, who stared in the direction of the Subtle sect and asked Li Yi, "Is there someone called Lin Yu here?" Li Yi was stunned. What was going on? Even the Bodhi sect knew about Sect Master Lin? Indeed, but young Master, Sect Master Lin, isn't here right now. Perhaps he will appear later. Sect Master Lin? Zhang Lingyi's face was full of sarcasm. Someone from a third-rate sect has the nerve to call himself Sect Master? Below, Charm immediately repeated his words. That kid said you're from a third-rate sect. Do you want to kill him? Lin Yu only felt black lines on his forehead. You don't need to repeat. However, he smiled helplessly in his heart. He didn't know how he had offended this rich second generation. Although this Zhang Lingyi wasn't much, he was the only son of the Bodhi sect master, especially his mother, Madame Bodhi, who was famous for being protective. A very troublesome woman. In the sky, Madame Bodhi glanced at Zhang Lingyi. Say no more. She looked at Li Yi. Let's begin. Chapter 232. All right. Li took a few steps back, feeling uneasy. It seemed like it wasn't a good thing for Zhang Lingyi to ask about Lin Yu's name. Wait, mother. Zhang Lingyi interrupted Li Yi and stepped forward. That's the dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries, right? Yes, young Master Zhang. Li Yi nodded. Zhang Lingyi moved and instantly appeared in front of Xiao Mo and the others. Who's the one in charge? His voice spread out. His every move attracted everyone's attention. After all, these people from the outer region were eager to join a quasi-emperor sect. Yes, it's me. Xiao Mo's heart tightened as he bowed. Young Master Zhang, please speak your mind. He could see that Zhang Lingyi could interrupt Madame Beauty. Obviously, this mother doted on her son. Offending Zhang Lingyi meant offending Madame Beauty. Xiao Mo couldn't afford it. You're Xiao Mo? Zhang Lingyi smiled. You're in luck. The Xian sect has promised Tang Xin to be my fiancé. Then, from today onwards, you'll be the #1 sect in the outer region. His casual words caused everyone to burst into an uproar. Tang Xin, is that the emperor this year? One of the 3 disciples of Emperor Li Yi, the #1 of the younger generation in the dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries. Xiao Mo thought that Zhang Lingyi would say something like Lin Yu's name, and that he had offended Zhang Lingyi somehow. But now it seemed like it was a good thing. Tang Xin, it's Tang Xin's fortune to be favored by young Master Zhang, Xiao Mo said with a smile. What made him especially happy was Zhang Lingyi's next sentence. The dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries would be the #1 sect in the outer region. Young Master Zhang is powerful. Of course, you can make the dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries the #1 sect in the outer region. Xiao Mo lowered his head and reminded. That's right, Tang Xin's sect. If I want you to be the #1 sect, you'll be the #1 sect. I'll do it. Zhang Lingyi turned to Madame Beauty and said, Mother, am I right? When this scene fell into Li Yi and Shun Suyi's ears, it was extremely ear-piercing. They had been fighting back and forth for so many years. How could a single sentence from this Zhang Lingyi decide their ranking? Moreover, with the 9 luminaries dragon sealing city's current strength, it wouldn't be his turn to compete for the #1 sect, right? My son has the potential to be a great emperor. You can say whatever you want. Madame Beauty smiled dotingly and said, From today onwards, everything in the outer realm will be led by the 9 luminaries dragon sealing city. However, Xiao Mo was the only one thanking her. The rest of the people were stunned, especially Shun Suyi and Li Yi. They lowered their heads and deliberately did not want to answer. Madame Beauty sneered. She had also sensed that these people were unconvinced. Didn't you hear what I said? In an instant, a law erupted from her body. It was as if a huge hand had suddenly appeared in the sky and pressed down. The people below all felt their breathing become much heavier. However, the ones who were affected the most were Li Yi and Shun Sui, who were closest to him. The 2 men felt a sharp pain in their feet. Damn it! Even though Li Yi was old and no longer had the backbone of his youth, he could not help but curse at this moment. How could he not know what Madame Beauty meant? At this moment, the bones in his 2 legs creaked. Li Yi gritted his teeth, but in the end, he could not bear it and knelt down. On the other side, Shun Sui also knelt down. Do you understand? Madame Beauty said indifferently, her voice cold. At this moment, everyone understood the gap between the laws and the Grand Supreme. Li Yi and Shun Sui were top figures in the outer realm, but when they encountered a law realm cultivator, they also knelt down with a single sentence. Understood. My Jixia book pavilion understands. Li Yi said in a low voice. On the other side, Shun Sui's face was also gloomy. My emperor's sect also understands. Understand? What do you understand? Zhang Lingyi smiled disdainfully again and walked in front of the 2. Speak. He pointed at Li Ye's head and said, My Jixia book pavilion, from today onwards, will be led by the 9 luminaries dragon sealing city. Li Yi gritted his teeth, the old hands in his sleeves clenched tightly. His nails dug into his flesh and blood seeped out. My emperor's sect, from today onwards, will also be led by the 9 luminaries dragon sealing city. Shinsui was in the same situation. Very good. Zhang Lingyi nodded with a smile and looked at Xiao Mo. This is my betrothal gift to Tang Xin. What do you think? This is of course the best betrothal gift. Xiao Mo was surprised and happy at this moment. He originally came to join the fun today to watch the 3 low-level sects compete, but how did it become a salted fish that made a comeback? That's good. Zhang Lingyi smiled faintly and whispered into Xiao Mo's ear. I heard that before Tang Xin went to the Xian sect, she had a very good relationship with someone called Lin Yu. Where is he? Zhang Lingyi felt that Li Yi was lying to him. No matter what, he came to this low-level starfield today to kill Lin Yu. As for the matter of the 9 luminaries dragon sealing city, it was just to make Tang Xin laugh. This old man really doesn't know where Lin Yu is. Xiao Mo was old and cunning. He also whispered to Zhang Ling, "Young Master Zhang, don't worry. Tang Xin and Lin Yu have nothing to do with each other. She can obtain young master's favor and will definitely serve young master wholeheartedly." Xiao Mo couldn't care less about whether Tang Xin liked him or not. In the current situation, he was in a situation where those who complied would prosper and those who disobeyed would die. But Zhang Lingyi didn't buy it. Once there's news about Lin Yu, immediately inform me. If you can't catch him, kill him directly. Xiao Mo heard and felt a chill down his spine. Yes, let's begin. Zhang Lingyi didn't say anything else. Seeing this, Li took a few steps forward. In today's rank advancement competition, those who have more than 300 Dao of Grand Supremes will win first place will be a high-level sect. Then, he said, each sect will send 3 people to start today's rank advancement competition. In an instant, 3 auras from Dozong and Flying Celestial sect stepped out, and from low-profile sect, 3 figures also walked out. Qin Wunyan, Yang Kai, and Dongwang Feiyu. The 3 of them were currently the strongest forces of low-profile sect. Your people seem to be the strongest. Mei immediately made a judgment. In the sky, a chaotic battle immediately began. If this continues, your low-profile sect has the highest chance of winning. Lin Yu glanced at him. Do you know anything about quasi-emperor level sects? The corner of Mei's mouth curled up, as if he had instantly regained his arrogant identity as one of the 4 ghost generals. I'm from the core. Who has time to care about those low-level sects? Lin Yu smiled helplessly. This was a case of the big fish eating the small fish, and the small fish eating the shrimps. In the eyes of emperor-level sects, quasi-emperor-level sects were low-level sections. There was no difference between them and the 3 low-level sects that were currently competing. Lin Yu continued, Zhang Lingyi is overbearing, but he has one good point. Chapter 233. What's his strength? Ruthless. Lin Yu smiled noncommittally. Zhang Lingyi will definitely kill anyone he sets his eyes on. Him? May obviously look down on this spoiled brat. However, Lin Yu still smiled helplessly. Of course he's useless, but his parents and the Bodhi sect are his backing. All right, Lin Yu thought of Mei's background again and shrugged. At least in the inner area, the Bodhi sect is enough to be his backing. Mei smiled gloatingly. So he'll deal with you and your sect until you're all dead, right? Lin Yu nodded. Haha, you deserve it. Mei said again. Who told you to steal someone else's fiancée? She was not stupid. Although Zhang Lingyi's actions were a little petty, he did it for the sake of a woman. Mei saw it clearly. If I say that I'm innocent, will you believe me? Mei shook her head. Pretend I didn't say anything. Lin Yu had already given up. At this time, the 3 elders of the Dozong sect had already been defeated. They did not continue fighting. Because of the alliance between the Dozong sect and the Low-Key sect, after seeing the strength of the 3 from the Low-Key sect, they knew that there was no need for them to risk their lives. At the same time, they saluted and said, We, the Dozong sect, have lost. After that, the 3 elders returned to the ranks of the Dozong sect. However, they did not wait long before they saw the 3 from the Flying Celestial sect land. The 3 of them looked at each other helplessly. I didn't expect the Dongwang sect lord to join the Low-Key sect. We've lost, the leader said. After hearing that, Lung Shan, who was in the Flying Celestial sect, wanted to die. I've lost all my 100 million Yaobot. On the other side of the crowd, Su Hongyi's heart also skipped a beat. 3 billion. We have to compensate Lin Yu with 3 billion. Li was in a bad mood. Seeing that the outcome was clear, he quickly announced, the one who advanced to the advanced sect this time is the Low-Key sect, the Flying Celestial sect. Zhang Lingyi interrupted Li Yi. The latter paused. This, young Master Zhang, low-key sect has won, I said. Zhang Lingyi looked at Li Yi coldly. The soaring immortal sect won. Don't you understand? Li Yi's old face started to twitch. Was this kid purposely looking for trouble with the low-key sect? This is going too far. This time, even Qin Wunyan and Yang Kai, who had returned victorious, looked at each other. The former asked, "What do you mean? You don't understand human language?" I said that the soaring immortal sect will be the winner of this promotion competition. Zhang Lingyi smiled disdainfully, ignoring Qin Wunyan and Yang Kai with a look of disgust, instead turning to Li Yi, still not announcing. This, young Master Zhang. Li Yi cursed in his heart. What kind of spoiled brat was this? Did he think they were all blind? Even the Flying Celestial Sect had admitted defeat, yet he still said that the Flying Celestial Sect had won. This was clearly targeting the low-key sect. My Bodhi sect will decide the outcome of the advancement competition. Don't you understand what my son is saying? Madame Bodhi's cold voice came at this moment. With his mother's support, Li could only grit his teeth. Sect Master Lin, don't blame this old master. The winner this time is... Just as he finished speaking, he saw 3 waves of pressure descend upon him. They were Qin Wunyan, Yang Kai, and Dongwang Feiyu. Li Yi was startled when he saw the angry look on the 3's faces. This old master also has his own difficulties. We are grateful that Imperial Preceptor brought us out of the danger of the monster beast forest. We don't blame Imperial Preceptor for this. Please step back. Qin Wunyan cupped his fists and said, giving Li Yi face. Seeing this, Li Yi wanted to persuade them. He guessed that these 3 were going to resist. It could be seen that not only Qin Wunyan looked solemn, but even Yang Kai and Dongwang Feiyu stood in front of Madame Bodhi and Zhang Lingyi. What's wrong? You don't agree? Zhang Lingyi looked down from atop the red-crowned crane. Someone from a low-level star field actually has a backbone? My low-key sect is not a sect that pesters. Dongwang Feiyu still cupped his fists solemnly to show his respect. Then he said, but the rank advancement competition is about notarization. The Quasi-Emperor sect is also here to preside over this notarization. How can we ignore the results that have already been reached? Qin Wunyan and Yang Kai nodded one after another. Not only them, but none of the people from low-key sect retreated. At this moment, they all came behind the 3 Grand Supremes. Even though they knew that they were no match for those in the Law Realm, none of them were afraid. Interesting, but it's a pity. Zhang Lingyi stepped on the air and landed. His tyrannical aura swept out, and everyone present immediately felt a sense of oppression. Notarization or not, I, Zhang Lingyi, have the final say. He stepped forward, and his pressure gradually increased. Your sect master Lin Yu doesn't dare to come out, and only sent 3 small fries. Are you looking down on today's rank advancement competition? The sect master has his own things to do. Qin Wunyan said coldly. If the Bodhi sect acts fairly, the 3 of us would have won today's rank advancement competition. Why would the sect master need to come out? What a good low-key sect. Zhang Lingyi smiled. How dare you say that my Bodhi sect is unfair? Li Yi, Xiao Mo, take them down. After hearing this, the whole place was filled with a feeling of mutual hostility. Li Yi lowered his head in silence. At this time, anything he said would be wrong. As for Xiao Mo, because of the benefits given in advance by the Bodhi sect, plus his relationship with Tang Xian, he naturally stood up. He cupped his fists and smiled at Qin Wunyan and the other 2, but he was still a little conflicted. Low-key sect belonged to Lin Yu, and Lin Yu was not to be trifled with. What does City Lord Xiao want to say? Dongwang Feiyu asked coldly. In fact, she had already expected this. However, she still hoped that Xiao Mo would say it himself. In the face of benefits, would these high-level sects immediately turn hostile? Dongwang Palace Master, back then, your Hanyu Women Palace also experienced the experience of being demoted from a high-level sect to a low-level sect. Xiao Mo looked very righteous and sighed. Alas, Palace Master should understand that you and I have no choice. After saying this, Xiao Imo took a step forward and attacked Dong Wang Feiyu. I understand. Dong Wang Feiyu also had a murderous intent. Interesting. I thought they would be obedient. In the crowd, May's tone was strange, but she admired the people of low-key sect very much. The gap between each level of sect was like a ravine. It took a lot of courage for a low-level sect master to resist a quasi-emperor sect. Your subordinates are not bad. A low-level sect dares to resist a quasi-emperor sect. This is the motto of our low-key sect. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Aren't you going to help? Wait a minute, he said again, and his eyes fell on Li Yi. Li Yi, what are you waiting for? Zhang Lingyi's voice came. Li Yi was stunned. Now that Xiao Imo had taken action, how could he just stand by and watch? If everyone resisted together at the beginning, maybe they could refuse. Forget it. Li Yi's eyes turned, and his figure instantly stepped into the air. 300 Grand Supreme Realm auras burst out. Chapter 234. I'll fight it out with you. Li Yi's high-pitched voice reverberated in all directions, and a palm fell from the sky. Seeing this, Qin Wunyan gritted his teeth and met it with a palm. He thought that it would be extremely difficult for him to face Li Yi. But in the next moment, he saw that there was no pressure at all on his palm. He didn't use any strength. Qin Wunyan immediately guessed something and withdrew the power of the Supreme. But the remaining fluctuations still hit Li Yi's body. Bang! Everyone saw Li Yi fly out, and even spit out a mouthful of blood. This, Qin Wunyan was surprised, but then Li Yi got up with difficulty. I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm old, and if we continue, I'll be in the coffin. After he said this, he seemed to be unable to stand steadily and sat on the ground again. How could Zhang Lingyi not see that Li Yi was playing tricks? And Li Yi did make a move. Now that he was old, it was reasonable that he couldn't win. Useless thing. Since that's the case, I'll do it myself. Zhang Lingyi raised both hands. He didn't want to fight with these lowly people, but Li Yi was useless. Emperor's preceptor, I guessed that he would do this. On the other side, Shun Sui had already pretended to be injured under the battle fluctuations, and was surrounded by a group of disciples to heal her. Qing Qing smiled. Master, your acting is really good. Silly disciple, I believe you. Shun Sui whispered. Lin Yu, whether you really can't be an enemy, we'll see the result today. Hearing this, Qing Qing pursed her lips. The situation was getting more and more chaotic, but why wasn't he back yet? The outer region is really trash. Zhang Lingyi personally made a move, and behind him, a huge shadow rose from the ground. That was an emerald green golden body, and its aura was so strong that it immediately made Qin Wunyan feel a sense of crisis. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Qin Wunyan gritted his teeth, and a golden body appeared behind him. That was an ink-colored giant dragon, opening its bloody mouth. When Zhang Lingyi's golden body came, the black dragon also went up to meet it. In an instant, the wind and moon changed color in front of the realm-crossing door, and one after another battle fluctuations resounded. How dare you keep a low profile? You actually dare to cause trouble in the rank advancement competition. What do you think of the laws of our star field? Seeing this, the soaring immortal sect, as the biggest beneficiary, naturally stood on the Bodhi sect side. Your opponent is here. Qiao, Yao Rao, the Wind and Moon Immortals, Qin Ji, Long Lin, Lu Wuheng, Jun Wushang, and the others were standing in front of the flying immortal sect. A bunch of trash. Do they really think that they can go against a quasi-emperor level sect? Lung Shan and the others constantly taunted low-profile sect, but everyone in the flying immortal sect was deeply shocked by low-profile sect. Although the combat power of the low-profile sect's people was not strong, their aura scared them. It doesn't matter if I succeed or not. Lu Wuhen's lips curved up. The Phoenix Song Spear appeared in his hand. But our patriarch has taught us that the low-key sect cannot be insulted. The low-profile sect can be killed or lost, but we won. Yet, you say that we lost? That's unacceptable. Qinji said sternly. She also erupted with battle power and joined the battle. Around Lin Yu's location, many people began to flee in all directions, afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire. With a rumbling sound, an ink dragon fell to the ground. Qin Wunyan spat out a mouthful of blood. He struggled to stand still, but his aura had become much more chaotic. The low-profile sect is only SOSO. Zhang Lingyi looked down and sneered disdainfully. But in the next moment, a sword chi fell between his eyebrows like a ghost. Sensing a life-and-death crisis, Zhang Lingyi burned his cultivation in exchange for speed that exceeded his limit. He suddenly retreated 10 meters. Where he was just now, the sword chi soared into the sky. If he had been a step slower, he would have become a corpse. Damn it! Zhang Lingyi stared vigilantly and angrily at the middle-aged man who was slowly walking over. So you're the strongest. Right, emissary, go and help Elder Wu and the others, Yang Kai said. Qin Wunyan nodded. He had also seen the flying immortal sect surround the low-profile sect in the advancement battle just now. So he immediately went to help. Zhang Lingyi stared at Yang Kai vigilantly. In the advancement battle just now, he did not even use his full strength, but he had already made the Dozong and flying immortal sect admit defeat. So, Zhang Lingyi did not see Yang Kai's true strength at all. Child, withdraw, Madame Bodhi said lightly. He is not someone you can deal with. Mother, I can. Zhang Lingyi did not believe this. The middle-aged man in front of him was just an unshakable boundary cultivator. How could he not be able to defeat him? But in the next moment, Yang Kai remained motionless, but countless sword chi burst out from behind him, piercing towards Zhang Lingyi. Take my fist. Zhang Lingyi roared, his golden body clenching into a fist and condensing his aura into his right fist. His huge fist collided with the countless sword chi. Shockwaves swept out in all directions. Even Mei, who was watching from below, felt her blood boil a little. What, you want to fight? Lin Yu glanced at her. Don't you want to? Although your people can still deal with the current situation, don't forget there is still Madame Bodhi. Even Mei looked at Madame Bodhi, whose eyes were now filled with murderous intent, with some dread. No one here can deal with this person, Mei said again. If my combat strength was restored to its peak, I might be able to help you deal with her. Little Mei, didn't you want to kill me? Why are you helping me after you've recovered? Lin Yu said deliberately. Mei snorted softly. I was just giving an example. Who said I wanted to help you? Oh. Lin Yu did not argue with her, simply smiling and saying, in fact, to deal with an opponent, you don't necessarily have to fight. What do you mean? Mei was a little confused. With her status, she should not have taken Lin Yu's opinion seriously. But after spending some time together, Lin Yu's shrewdness and his ability to see through her secret arts meridians, she had no choice but to take Lin Yu's every word seriously. That's what I mean. Lin Yu was taller than Mei, standing very close to her at this moment, lowering his head and saying, I don't need to fight with you, but I have already subdued you. Impudent, who has been subdued by you? Mei immediately retorted. Lin Yu shrugged. I was just giving an example. His eyes fell on Madame Bodhi. This woman is even more complicated than her husband. Lin Yu only said this, but what he didn't say next was that the more complicated a woman was, the more he understood her. At this moment, the three battles were gradually coming to an end. Dongwang Feiyu and Xiao Emo were on the same side. During the time in the low-key sect, Dongwang Feiyu was mainly in charge of secret arts. There, Lin Yu deliberately prepared some auxiliary cultivation arts that were beneficial to the Bright Jade skill. Therefore, Dongwang Feiyu's combat strength had already been restored to a stronger state than before. Chapter 235. Xiao Emo retreated with difficulty, gritting his teeth, but he knew that he couldn't fight anymore. As expected of the top cultivator in the outer territory, Xiao Emo thought to himself as he retreated. But after Dongwang Feiyu defeated him, he still joined the battle against the Flying Celestial sect. The flying celestial sect had already been defeated once. At this moment, with the addition of Qin Wu Yin and Dongwang Feiyu, they were gradually losing ground and began to retreat. Damn it, didn't this group of people just establish their sect? How can they be so strong? Their individual combat power may not be strong, but their cooperation is very good. Look at Lu Wu Hen and Long Lin. They're actually competing to see who can kill more people. And those 5 women, they each use the 4 arts of zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. I have never seen them before. How can they resist? Lin Yu looked at the battle with satisfaction. However, the outcome of the current situation still depended on Zhang Lingyi. Yang Kai's body moved without wind, and his sword qi was so strong that it was shattering Zhang Lingyi's golden avatar. At this moment, Madame Beauty had to stand in front of Zhang Lingyi. "Child, step back," she ordered. Zhang Lingyi's aura was chaotic, but he no longer acted foolishly. He knew that this person was not simple, and his strength was not enough to deal with him. Invincible Sword Dao can fight against Supreme Elders. As far as I know, there was only one person in the Emperor Gate Starfield. Madame Beauty's voice sounded, and there was a charming feeling. Although Zhang Lingyi could tell that she was at least 40 years old, her skin was extremely well maintained. He wondered how much glory, bought, and resources of the Bodhi sect this woman spent on her face every day. But it had to be said that she was still attractive to women. If a man preferred mature women, then such a high-ranking and charming woman was fatally attractive to him. "The Emperor Gate's first sword, is it your excellency?" Madame Beauty asked tentatively. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes. "The Emperor Gate's first sword is a thing of the past. As expected, it is Senior Yang." Madame Beauty smiled faintly. "Senior Yang is from the Emperor Gate. How can you get involved in the affairs of a low-level sect?" While speaking, Madame Beauty casually brushed the hair on her temples. "You're older than me, so there's no need to call me senior." Yang Kai replied indifferently. "I already said that the Emperor's Gate's first sword is a thing of the past. Now, my sect is a low-key sect. Why do you think I would care about this matter?" Madame Beauty's face darkened when she heard the first sentence. Saying that a woman was older than him, wasn't that just courting death? But seeing Yang Kai's indifferent and unreasonable appearance, Madame Bodhi was greatly disappointed. He was a boring and straightforward man. No matter how amazing his sword Dao was, at this moment, she felt that it was boring. "Since you're from the low-key sect, then I won't be polite." The speed at which a woman changed her mind was faster than flipping through a book. Yang Kai's eyes widened at this moment as he saw a principal pressing down on him. "Space Strangle." Seeing that Yang Kai was about to draw his sword, she smiled and said, "I heard that you died after being expelled from Sword Emperor's sect. I didn't expect that you would remain in the outer territory all this time." Yang Kai was startled. Sword Emperor's sect. Just as he was startled, the other party's principal had already descended. The space around Yang Kai seemed to be grabbed by an invisible hand and directly crushed, causing the entire space to creak. The violent fluctuations and tearing force caused his body to distort at this moment. Poisonous woman. How could Yang Kai not know that Madame Bodhi's words were deliberately disturbing his mind? Sword Qi surged out as Kai Yang roared. Behind him, a gigantic golden sword chopped down from the heavens. The sharp sword Qi cut down on Yang Kai's head, but there was nothing there that could be seen with the naked eye. But Yang Kai concluded that there was something controlling the space around him, so he couldn't even move now. Asterisk Hong Long. Asterisk the sword Qi suddenly stopped 1 meter above Yang Kai's head, and there, a principal fluctuation gradually appeared. It was a hand, a transparent hand. Sure enough, how can a poisonous woman like you comprehend true space principles? Yang Kai regained his freedom and immediately retreated a few steps, but he was still injured. Even if it's not space principles, it's enough to take down your group. Madame Bodhi looked down, and the transparent hand immediately fell on the low-profile sect group. The Emperor's Gate's first sword is invincible against the Supreme Elder, but I am a principal. Under this Madame's formless palm seal, You are all ants. Yang Kai, if you continue to hide, these people will die before you. Oh no! Yang Kai's movement skill burst out, and when he reappeared, he was already under the palm, resisting it head-on. Asterisk Kong Long. Asterisk Yang Kai spat out a mouthful of blood. The moment the palm disappeared, the space around him was crushed again. Are you really not going to help? Mei turned around and asked Lin Yu, but Lin Yu, who was standing behind her, had disappeared. When did he disappear? She was shocked, and when she saw Lin Yu again, the Buddhist karma body had already stepped into the air above him. The huge golden body immediately attracted everyone's attention. Sect Master. Sect Master is back. Everyone looked up and saw the golden body raise its hands, and two completely different auras converged. The left hand was Yin. The right hand was Yang. The golden body put its palms together and smashed them down. In an instant, Yang Kai's principal palm, which was pressing down on him, cracked under the impact of this blow. What kind of radiant chi is that? Madame Beauty gasped. Her principal palm seal was actually shattered by radiant chi. Just as she was about to attack again, she heard a young man's voice from the Buddhist karma body. Beside Ching Ching River, young lord in white, no more love, only yearning. Lin Yu's voice sounded, and Madame Beauty's phoenix eyes widened. Her figure instantly disappeared, and when she reappeared, she was already in front of Lin Yu. Smelly brat, how did you know? Her face was ferocious, and her right hand grabbed Lin Yu's neck, ready to crush it at any time. Sect Master, Yang Kai, Qin Wenyin, Dongwang Feiyu, and everyone else saw Lin Yu being captured and were about to rush over. Even Mei, who was in the distance, was shocked and couldn't help but worry about Lin Yu. Damn it, he can only die in my hands. Mei was ready to burn her cultivation in exchange for an instant principal eruption. But in the next moment, she heard Lin Yu's laughter that spread in all directions. It's fine, everyone back down. With these words, the entire battle situation outside the realm crossing gate came to a complete halt. He is Lin Yu. Mother, kill him for me. Zhang Lingyi stared at Lin Yu. It's you, the person in Tang Xion's heart. Your son told you to do it. Why aren't you doing it? Lin Yu's lips curled up as he looked at Madame Beauty up close. This woman now had a murderous look on her face, but in his eyes, she was just a toothless tigress. What this madam is asking is, how did you know this poem? Lin Yu lowered his head and pointed at her hand. Is this how you ask people? Chapter 236. Enough nonsense. The hand on his throat tightened significantly. Lin Yu remained calm. If you want old Master Bodhi to know about this poem, go ahead and use all your strength. As soon as these words came out, Madame Bodhi's heart tightened. You, what else do you know? The white-robed young lord is dead, but his bloodline. Lin Yu's lips curled up as his gaze swept past Madame Bodhi and landed on Zhang Lingyi. Soon, he turned back to Madame Bodhi. Do I need to say more? Who else knows about this? Madame Bodhi forcefully suppressed her anger and asked in a low voice. I'm the only one who knows. You can kill me now. Lin Yu smiled faintly. This secret was something he had learned while trapped for 100,000 years, so naturally, no one else knew about it. Therefore, if Madame Beauty killed him, then no one would know about her past secret. But Lin Yu's confident appearance made her not dare to take this gamble. He was definitely lying. Aren't you afraid I'll kill you now? Madame Bodhi warned, her aura erupting at the same time, suppressing Lin Yu to the point of suffocation. The gap between his current combat power and a principal realm master's was still too big. If he had not weakened the other party's principles beforehand, he would not have been able to shatter them so easily. But now, in a head-on clash of auras, if he did not use the power of his black feathers and divine ability, just the aura of his three essences as one would not be enough. Go ahead and use all your strength. If you anger me, you know the consequences. Lin Yu also grabbed Madame Bodhi's collar with one hand, a scene that caused the hairs on everyone's back to stand on end. I dared to come out because I prepared a backup plan. I hope this backup plan is something you can bear. Lin Yu said again. Zhang Lingyi saw Lin Yu actually daring to touch his mother and flew into a rage. Stand down. But before he could take a few steps, he was shouted back by Madame Bodhi. The latter suppressed his emotions and spoke to Lin Yu in a much gentler tone. You're that Lin Yu? You do have some skills. Fine, I won't argue with you about today's matter. As for that secret, it will rot in your stomach forever. What do you think? After saying that, she was about to let go of Lin Yu's hand. But in the next moment, Lin Yu pulled Madame Beauty closer instead. In your dreams, Lin Yu said in a low voice, I want you to agree to 3 things. Otherwise, don't talk about it. No one dares to negotiate with me. Then I'll be the first. When Madame Beauty met Lin Yu's eyes, she immediately felt that her aura was inferior to his. Forget it. As long as it's not too much, I can promise you. Even though her face was filled with unwillingness, what Lin Yu knew was not only fatal to her, but also to Zhang Lingyi. Very good. First, the result of today's advancement match will be what it should be. When he said that, Madame Beauty looked at him in surprise. It's that simple. She thought that Lin Yu would demand an exorbitant price. Since my low-key sect won, it's a victory. No one can change the result. Lin Yu said. His tone was calm, but Madame Beauty could hear the sincerity and determination in his words. Just like what the low-key sect had shouted at the beginning. The low-key sect could not be humiliated. What else? The second thing is to slap your son and go back with him. Impudent. Madame Beauty immediately glared at Lin Yu, but the latter showed no fear. This is his punishment. He should be punished for messing up today's advancement match. Lin Yu continued in a neither servile nor overbearing tone. Remember, my low-key sect is reasonable. Madame Beauty was silent, but Lin Yu knew that with her status, her silence meant that she agreed. Third, you say it. Madame Beauty asked, but Lin Yu let go of her collar. I haven't thought of it yet. Let's talk about it later. You. Madame Beauty felt like she was being played. Don't worry, before I say it, your secret will never be known by Patriarch Beauty. Madame Beauty warned in a low voice. I hope you can keep your promise. Otherwise, there will be no low-key sect in the outer realm. Lin Yu nodded with a smile. This deal was settled. Mother, why are you wasting time with him? Kill me if you don't want to. Zhang Lingyi was running out of patience. When 2 love rivals meet, their eyes would turn red. Use more strength, Lin Yu ordered. Madame Beauty's body tensed up. She gritted her teeth and turned around. Mother, are you telling me to kill him myself? Zhang Lingyi smiled excitedly when he saw Madame Beauty walking toward him. I understand. Tang Xin will know who the strongest man is if Lin Yu dies in my hands. He went straight for Lin Yu. The crowd could smell the scent of another battle. But the moment he passed by Madame Beauty, a slap resounded through the crowd. The crowd was stunned. The source of his slap was Madame Beauty, and in front of her, Zhang Lingyi only felt a burning pain on his face. Mother, you hit me? Zhang Lingyi gritted his teeth. You and father have never hit me in my entire life. Why are you doing this now? Impudent. Madame Beauty was furious. It's because I have never hit you that you are getting more and more unruly. Today is the Outer Realms advancement battle. Low-key Sect 1. What are you doing now? Don't you know my target? Zhang Lingyi thought his mother was crazy. He had always been reckless, and his parents were always on his side. But now, what was going on? That guy, what did he do? Charm's mouth was agape. She didn't need to do anything. Lin Yu had already taken care of him. On the other side, Li Yi, Shun Suyi, and the rest couldn't believe Madame Beauty would say something like that. This woman who spoiled her son had made Zhang Lingyi infamous in the inner realm. If she had been so righteous from the start, how could there be such an annoying Zhang Lingyi today? There's a big problem. Sect leader Lin must have said something to Madame Beauty. Li Yi looked at Lin Yu from afar. I knew it. If he can take care of Hellgate, why can't he take care of Bodhi's sect? He was glad that he didn't do anything to low-key sect. Enough. There's no need to talk about this anymore. Madame Beauty couldn't be bothered to look at Zhang Lingyi anymore. She turned to the others. Low-key sect is now an advanced sect. No one is allowed to object to what happened today. With that, Madame Beauty stepped on her crane. Her gaze fell on Lin Yu again. When I see sect leader Lin again in the future, I hope I can fulfill my wish. Zhang Lingyi's face was dark. How could he dare to find trouble with Lin Yu now? He felt that he had lost all face today. His mother had called Lin Yu sect leader in front of everyone. Wasn't that a slap to his face? Everyone remembered that Zhang Lingyi had ridiculed Lin Yu for being a sect master at the beginning. Suddenly, Lin Yu's voice interrupted his thoughts. Zhang Lingyi, am I not the sect leader? Chapter 237. Only then did Zhang Lingyi understand. You've been here for a long time? Otherwise, how would Lin Yu know about what happened at the beginning? But Lin Yu ignored him. I'm asking you a question. This domineering question immediately made people feel that Zhang Lingyi was a level lower in front of Lin Yu. But in fact, when Zhang Lingyi first appeared, no one from the outer territory was worthy of his attention. Damn it, who do you think you are? Zhang Lingyi was about to get angry, but he heard Madame Bodhi's voice. Answer me. Did I teach you to be rude? Zhang Lingyi stood there for a long time before he finally said to Lin Yu, yes. What is it? Lin Yu looked down at the people from the low-key sect and asked again. Those people looked at Zhang Lingyi's appearance and were in a good mood at this moment. You're the sect master. Zhang Lingyi gritted his teeth and stepped onto the red-crowned crane as soon as he finished speaking. At this time, Lin Yu replied to Madame Bodhi, see you next time, madam. Madame Bodhi also knew that it was not the time to talk, so she nodded and left. The huge immortal crane became smaller and smaller and entered the world-crossing gate in everyone's eyes. It was only at this moment that the tense atmosphere finally relaxed. The sect master is the sect master. Even Madame Bodhi has to give him face. The people from the low-key sect looked at Lin Yu with admiration. In this regard, Lin Yu did not take it to heart. Dong Wang Fei Yu and Qin Wenyan came over. Lin Yu came to Yang Kai. Is left emissary Yang all right? It's all thanks to the sect master's return. Yang Kai shook his head. With Yang Qing's help, he said again, Sect master, it seems that we have formed a grudge with the Bodhi sect this time. So what? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Yang Kai could not help but laugh at this sentence, regardless of his injuries. The rest of the people from the low-key sect also reacted the same way. So what? That's right. When has our low-key sect ever been afraid of anyone? We don't cause trouble, and we're never afraid of trouble. Lord Lin. At this moment, Li immediately stepped into the air and bowed a few times. I finally endured until you came back. Qin Wenyan, who was beside Lin Yu, secretly told Lin Yu about Li Ye's actions just now. Hearing that, Lin Yu smiled. Actually, he had already guessed it when Li Yi was beaten back by Qin Wenyan in one move. But now that he saw Li Yi, he couldn't help but smile. The word endure is used very well. Imperial Preceptor, you've worked hard. This sentence seemed to have a hidden meaning. When Li Yi heard this, he blinked his old eyes. Brother Lin, this old man has his own difficulties. Lin Yu was afraid that he would continue to talk nonsense, so he raised his hand to interrupt him. Imperial Preceptor, there's no need to say more. What you've done today can be considered as helping our low-profile sect. Lin Yu will remember this. To be able to join a quasi-emperor sect and brazenly go easy on them without kicking them while they were down was already considered good. Brother Lin, this old man is relieved that you're so righteous. Li laughed heartily. I still have to congratulate low-profile sect for officially becoming a high-ranking sect today. When Li Ye's voice fell, an ancient and cold voice spread across the entire starry sky from the outer region. Outer region, low-profile sect, promoted to a high-ranking sect. This voice seemed to have put an end to today's events. The flying celestial sect, who had come to deal with low-profile sect with hope and pride, were all gloomy at this moment. Bodhi's sect is useless. They were actually scared off by Lin Yu with just a few words. Not only that, but Zhang Lingyi was also beaten up by Madame Bodhi. It's clear how much she fears Lin Yu. Where did this group of people come from? They rose from a low-ranking sect to a high-ranking sect in such a short time. Today, we've offended low-profile sect. Our future days will be difficult. At this moment, apart from the flying celestial sect and the Navagraha dragon sealing city, everyone came up to congratulate Lin Yu. Lin Yu couldn't be bothered with these social matters. Instead, he gave full authority to Qinji, Jun Wushang, and the others. Jun Wushang, in particular, was in charge of networking with the other sections. It was his responsibility as an elder. Li saw that Lin Yu wasn't in the mood to liven things up, so he pulled him aside. Sect Master Lin, is the matter with the ghost sect really settled? Lin Yu nodded. It's settled for now. However, you'd better not go back for the time being. Now is the time to reap the rewards from the demon cave. Lin Yu was waiting for the others who coveted the black feather to become its nutrients, and all the rewards would eventually fall into Lin Yu's hands. However, this matter still needed some time to reel in the net. Then this old man can rest assured. With Brother Lin around, I don't think anyone from the ghost sect would dare to act recklessly. Li Yi snorted. Tell me, who wouldn't dare to act recklessly? A familiar voice fell into Li Ye's ears. The next moment, he instinctively knelt down. This voice wasn't familiar to Li Yi because he had heard it too many times, but because hearing it once was enough to make him afraid, so he kept recalling it in his mind. Sir, please forgive me. This old man didn't mean that. After Li Yi finished speaking, he saw that there was no one else in front of him. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Imperial Preceptor, why are you bowing? Cough. Li Yi hurriedly got up. Could it be that this old man's ears aren't good, and I'm hallucinating? Did Sect Master Lin hear it just now? What did you hear? Li Yi moved closer. I heard the voice of one of the 4 ghost generals, Charm. Yes. Lin Yu nodded. Li Yi's heart tightened. Really? Where is it? Behind you. Charm's voice came again. She snorted coldly behind Li Yi, and the latter immediately bounced up. Yes, sir, it's really you. Cold sweat broke out on Li Ye's forehead. The second of the 4 ghost generals, a law realm powerhouse, the lord of an emperor-level sect. Its deterrence was much greater than that of the Bodhi sect. Get up. Charm couldn't be bothered with Li Yi. Instead, she looked at Lin Yu. What do you plan to do next? Treat your injuries and then send you away. Lin Yu's casual words caused Charm's gaze to become absent-minded for a moment. She then replied, All right, I don't want to delay you for too long. However, it won't be easy to treat you. It'll take at least 1.5 years. Lin Yu rubbed his chin again and smiled helplessly. Little Charm, are you reluctant to leave? Scram. Charm's expression became angry. However, she didn't really do anything to Lin Yu. Instead, there was some unconcealable joy in her beautiful eyes. When Li Yi saw this scene, he was immediately stunned. Why do these two seem to be very familiar with each other? Li Yi muttered in his heart. His admiration for Lin Yu grew even more. A young talent, whether it's Lord Emperor's Gate or Madame Bodhi, they can't escape from Sect Master Lin's claws. He naturally didn't dare to let Lin Yu hear his words. Seeing that he was in the way, Li Yi quietly left. Is it time to tell the truth now? Charm glanced in the direction Li Yi left and smiled. Chapter 238. It seems like you're getting to know me better, Lin Yu said with a smile. Of course, I know you seem to be exaggerating, but if you consider every step carefully, you can see that your schemes are watertight. I'm not asking you to praise me. What I mean is that you're very careful, and you're wary of Li Yi. That's why you're unwilling to tell him your next step. Charm's voice was very soft as she whispered, Tell me, what else do you have for fun? You're very smart. Lin Yu lowered his head and met Charm's gaze. But you're wrong about something. What is it? Lin Yu leaned in close to her red ears. I'm not saying it because I'm wary of Li Yi, but because I'm wary of you. You bastard. Charm was so angry that her pretty face turned pale. She felt that her injuries were getting worse and worse. But before she could say anything, Lin Yu had already left. Where are you going? To collect money. With that, Charm followed him. The two arrived at the gambling house's entrance again. There were many people walking in and out. Many of them looked melancholic. It was obvious that they had lost money today. After all, low-key sex fame was too recent. They were unwilling to believe that Loki's sect could win the advancement competition. But now that Loki's sect had won, those who bet on the fighting sect and flying celestial sect to win naturally lost everything. But now, behind the curtain of a small room in the gambling house, Su Hongyi was sitting with a pale face and a nervous expression. She didn't have the slightest bit of joy from earning so much money. She had just returned from the advancement competition and had seen the results with her own eyes. Because of Zhang Lingyi, Loki's sect had lost first place. She was happy that she had earned 3 billion. But after Lin Yu appeared, the entire world changed. Su Hongyi was thinking about this when a maidservant's voice suddenly came from outside the room, interrupting her thoughts. "Master, a guest is here to withdraw 6 billion glory bot." Hearing this, Su Hongyi took a deep breath. How much glory bot can the gambling house use now? She knew that Lin Yu was here. He had invested 3 billion. According to the odds in his capital, he could withdraw 6 billion this time. The maid was startled. "Master, you had me count this morning. There should be around 5 billion left, including the profits from the rank advancement competition." The maidservant nodded. "Yes." Su Hongyi's face paled. 1 billion. Go to the shops that we're on good terms with and see if you can borrow 1 billion. "Master, this..." The maidservant looked embarrassed. Her gambling house had always been the richest in the commercial city outside the gate. She was used to being arrogant in front of other shops, but now she had to borrow from others? This was a little embarrassing. "Go. Now is not the time to worry about other things." With that, Su Hongyi stood up. "Go quickly and come back quickly. Remember, bring more people with you and lower yourself. I'll hold Lin Yu back." "Yes." The maidservant braced herself and left. After doing this, Su Hongyi frowned and walked out of the small room. It was the main hall of the gambling house. At this time, Lin Yu and Mei were also looking around. "This place is quite elegant. I came in a hurry last time and didn't look carefully." After Mei finished speaking, Lin Yu nodded. "Ninru, Su Hongyi's taste is not bad." Mei looked at Lin Yu suspiciously. "Why do I feel like you know that boss very well?" Lin Yu smiled non-committally. "Actually, I know you very well too." When he said that, Mei's face immediately turned red. On one hand, it was because Lin Yu's words were frivolous and rude. On the other hand, what Lin Yu said was actually the truth. Ever since they met, she couldn't hide any of her thoughts from Lin Yu. "Esteemed guests have arrived. Please forgive Hongyi for coming late." Su Hongyi walked over with dignified steps. She bowed slightly to Lin Yu and Mei. Lin Yu couldn't help but tease Mei. "Little Mei, if you have time, you should learn from Boss Su." "Learn for what? I just need to know how to cultivate." Mei snorted softly, but her eyes were honestly looking at Su Hongyi. It was indeed an attractive appearance, but she, who was used to fighting, couldn't do such an action. "Do all men like this type?" Mei couldn't help but ask, but Lin Yu had already left her and walked to Su Hongyi. "Boss Su, you're especially beautiful today." Su Hongyi was stunned. She was used to such flattering words. But when Lin Yu said it, there was no frivolity in his eyes. Instead, it gave her the feeling of a superior praising a subordinate. Even Su Hongyi couldn't help but rejoice in her heart. "Young Master Lin's mouth is really sweet." Su Hongyi smiled faintly. The way her red lips parted slightly was quite seductive. Lin Yu's eyes seemed to see through her. "Boss Su, you should be worried about 1 billion glory bot, but you still have such a mental state. It's really good." Su Hongyi was shocked. How did Sect Master Lin know I'm short of 1 billion? As soon as she said it, she knew she had said something wrong. Wasn't this admitting that her gambling house didn't have the money to give Lin Yu? Seeing this, the beauty in front of Lin Yu was in a dilemma, which made him feel even more amused. "I can give Boss Su some time. I don't think your servant will be gone for too long." Hearing this, Su Hongyi felt very embarrassed. How did Lin Yu know how much glory bot her gambling house had? Moreover, she had sent her servant through the back door. Lin Yu was in the main hall, and he even knew who she sent? Sect Master Lin is so well informed. Could it be that you have many spies in the city? "Why would I need spies?" Lin Yu said confidently. "There are very few secrets in the world that can hide from me." Su Hongyi shook her head helplessly. Sect Master Lin, you became famous at such a young age. It's good that you have such confidence. However, Lin Yu and Mei could hear the doubt in her words. Obviously, she felt that Lin Yu's words were too arrogant. It seems that Boss Su doesn't believe me. Hearing this, Su Hongyi knew that she couldn't hide it from Lin Yu. She smiled and said, I'll just take it as Sect Master Lin's high-spirited joke. You don't have to take it seriously. Lin Yu knew that it was time to get to the point. He smiled and said, how about I make a bet with Boss Su? Oh, Su Hongyi was very relaxed and interested. Lin Yu finding a topic to talk about could help her stall for time. She couldn't be happier. Sect Master Lin, why don't you tell me? Then I'll make a bet with Boss Su. Let's see if your servant can borrow 1 billion. Su Hongyi frowned and said angrily, Sect Master Lin, you're looking down on my casino. Fine, I'll make a bet with you. My people can borrow 1 billion. My servant can borrow 1 billion, but there has to be a bet. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.